from 7 to 3. Overindulged in the flesh like it's free. We're on a fast ride where monkeys killing time with machines. Making love that we don't even feel. You don't even notice if it's her or it's me. But somewhere deep in it's cutting like a knife, so you just kill it with that one. All of a sudden you are free. You call your mom and say, hey, it's me. I just need some more mommy money. I'm gonna spend it, filling up my house, my face, my body, and my tongue, 'cause I just wanna feel good. Using all that's left, somewhere in your chest, on your sweetheart hit and miss. Uh-oh. Somewhere in your chest, somewhere in your chest, using all that's left. Somewhere in your chest, all your sweetheart hidden. Oh, oh. Got a 2-ton weight from my hairline to my backbone, and it's dragging me around, but I don't listen. All your critics are red, mind your own business. That's right. Better run red lights. Now watch me fly. To my left, devil to my right, we're going down. Hit the road, Jack, won't come back, no.
Bro, we're losing money on some of this stuff, and y'all lost advertisers. Get some of these people back. And maybe like, and it's like, and then that's what this ban is indicative of. He's like sending a message that it's equal sides now.
I feel like if I'm
Yeah, no, I was really happy with my performance, but I did see at one point in a still frame, I looked a little bit bigger than I perceived myself to be. Then I weighed myself, and I did. I gained 5 pounds. What the fuck? My BMI
Oh,
is,
baby.
yeah. I'm not obese yet, but I'm close. I'm close. This is not good.
Hey, you know what that's called? That's called being able to afford eggs right now because you know. So you're making enough money to be able to eat good, bro. You should
You
take
can get
pride.
fat
We're
off
going
of
back.
like
We're
50%
going. We're going
food.
back to the status quo of fatter people are richer and attractive again.
Yeah,
Oh,
no.
back to
Guess
that?
what?
Lactoid,
we can
that's
afford it. That's
you
it.
get
I
gout,
for one
that's
am welcome to
positive.
this.
You get
I
gout.
still rock with the fit are the rich.
I also want to say, as far as debates on Wix last week, I made somebody rage quit, and then they called me a Nazi afterwards. So
You
I think
did.
that's a win.
I saw that
That's
as
a
well.
win.
Well, I did
But
prime
on
that
Wix
rage quit.
page-
I thought I was
Doesn't-
going to get the
doesn't-
rage quit.
Wait, Lactoid. You confused me so much. Once again, I watched the whole 3.5 hour.
And you admit that I won. Go ahead.
I don't know that one. I don't know if you won. I disagreed with you. I still disagreed with you with
Well, let's
almost
disagree.
all of your points. It's very confusing. Why do you care so much that the Ukrainian dude got cooed out and then kicked out of their country? What happened? I tried so hard to pay attention and focus on that.
Lactoid was so intensely boring that made it. I hear you.
No, he wasn't boring. He wasn't boring. I mean,
those ETFs, Prime.
You gotta learn to fight back and be a little exciting, but like, yeah, what the fuck do you care if the Ukrainians kicked out their dude? If anything,
because I'm fucking paying for it. What do you? Why do I care? Why do I care about the history of the conflict?
You're paying for everything. I don't want to hear.
I'm paying for everything, so I might as well pay for more.
Once I hear you start complaining about the other things that are complaining, well,
I complain about the other things. I complain about a lot of things.
I haven't seen you go like so gung ho. Like Russia's like your thing. Like Russia, Ukraine's like your bag.
It's not my bag at all. Well, hold on. This is not my bag at all. I did one.
It's definitely your bag
have
now.
a debate with someone on this specifically. I watched that debate. You were in your shit. You had the dates, the times, the cool, whatever the fuck these people's names were. You're just off the top of the dome because Eastern European names just chilling.
He could have just made it all up.
This is your bag.
I didn't.
This is your bag. I just don't understand. Like, I don't understand it as like an American. I thought it'd be like so cool. Like, yeah, these people like they kicked their president that they didn't want out. Like, I think that's dope. That's badass. No.
I know a lot about it because this is a situation where you can find panels of me going back a year ago where I was like ultra pro Ukraine, right? And for very much the same logic that you're talking about, Ali.
Yeah.
But as time has gone on, and I've had multiple discussions in this, and I've been learned things and done research on things. And learning all these specific names and these specific dates and these specific events. I've begun to realize, like, okay, well, there's these facts of the matter, and I present these facts of the matter to people, and the response I get is one of just vitriol, right? So, you're talking about the coup, and you don't care that there was a coup. That's a position. But when I presented the fact it was a coup, the knee-jerk response was, no, it's not. No, it's not, and that's Russian propaganda. Shut the fuck up.
Mm-hmm.
That pisses me off because now the question is, well, why don't you want me to investigate this? Why don't you want me to talk about this? Why is there such a this stigma against actually investigating this? And that obviously motivated me to do even more digging. And yeah, I began to realize that there's a lot of things that I think the American people are being lied to. And I think the American people are being lied to in order to fund something that's not advantageous to their position. Mm-hmm. And I think also there's moral cases to be made. And there's a lot of things the Ukrainians have been doing that is wrong. And nobody seems to care. Nobody seems to give a fuck. And I know you can relate to this to some extent because there's a lot of people. Because there's a lot of people.
Israel, Palestine. I don't see no bitching there. I don't see no complaints about our dollars anywhere there.
Well, a couple things.
White House just tweeted shalom, by the way. I just want to let it be recognized, brother.
Whoa. Nothing wrong with shalom. I did before you joined. I did bring up Mahmoud, the incident.
That's what I was talking about.
Yes. We can talk about that. In fact, I've tweeted about it right before this panel, and I think it is a concern that we should briefly talk about. And I think that there is an argument you could make for the U.S. funding of Israel. You can make those arguments.
I sent it in the chat.
But what I'm mostly upset about, though, and I think that you can probably understand this too, if somebody comes to you and they're having like an Israel discussion, and they're super pro-Israel, but every time you bring a point, they respond to the point, you're probably not going to get so upset, okay?
Mm-mm.
But if you have a conversation with somebody who's like super pro-Israel, and every time you bring up a point, they just say, "Oh, that's just because you're anti-Semitic and you hate Jews." If that's their response every single time, are you gonna? And you begin to notice this among large groups of people. Isn't that going to piss you off like a little bit? Like, wow, it seems like you're just repeating the dogmatic talking point.
Yeah, the whole Russian propaganda thing I can see being annoying. It's just you were talking to like the two people who would just throw that at your face. You were talking to a girl in the Ukraine, and then Dylan Burns, who like are obviously like.
I was talking to what I thought was the preeminent voices on Ukraine, the people who would be able to present the biggest fight against me. Because when I bring up these points to other people,
YouTube.
In the world. Well, look, I'm sure Zelensky could maybe make a different argument, but on Twitch poll, like the people that I have access to, these were the preeminent people, right? I brought this stuff up to other people.
Yeah.
When I would bring this points up to counterpoints, right? His response to me would be like, "Well, I bet Dylan Burns would destroy you on that." And so I'm like, "Fine." Like we eventually
Well,
got it together, and
that's
they
'cause he's
didn't
an
have
idiot,
answers.
so-
They didn't have answers to any of this shit.
I think that
I mean,
there's
Go ahead, Gibbs,
who
go ahead.
cares what?
there's probably
Yeah, who
there's
cares?
probably- wait, just real quick. I think that like it's easy to say that like, maybe there's something going on here where the people get protective of they get protective of the way that you go about investigating issues or having conversations. Like I think that that's a fair thing to bring up, but it's also equally as possible, probably more likely, that anytime you're dealing with a subject that people find sensitive to, that involves someone they see as a victim, the questioning of that can become complicated. If you talk about, like, let's say there's a news story comes out about a 25-year-old white girl that was molested by 17 men, and like she's obviously a victim in this situation, and if someone starts having a conversation like, I think maybe she's done some crimes before, maybe we should look into that, there is a real like guttural reaction to say that, like, why are you doing that at this point? Why are you like attacking this victim? Maybe that person is coming from some honest perspective of just trying to do the research or just trying to have the full conversation, but you also understand why, like, what the emotional response comes to.
No, I hate that point so much. I understand what you're
I'm not saying
saying.
you like it. I'm saying that
I'll explain why I hate it. I understand. I understand like where you're coming from, but like I hate that mentality, because when you show up on a debate panel in which you're told ahead of time it is a debate and you're going to be debating this, and you have for years now spent your time preoccupied with understanding this conflict and arguing in favor of this conflict, in some respects, and quote unquote being an expert on this, and somebody challenges you on this topic, and if your response is just to get emotional, like, why even show up to the debate then? Why
I'm
even
not
show up to
arguing with
discuss
Well,
the
that's
specifics?
not mutually exclusive. You can be emotional, still make good points, though. Like I didn't see like the full debate. I saw maybe like some highlights, but like,
You should watch the full debate.
but I'm curious in terms of if you ask Ukrainian Anna or Dylan, I don't know that they would characterize it the same way. But like, emotional is not necessarily mutually exclusive to like being making good points and debating, right?
I watched it. It did.
Not necessarily, but it was in that
It
discussion.
did. It was.
Okay,
It was a
I'll
little
take
bit.
your word for it, but-
These are Ukrainian.
It was rhetoric. It was rhetoric versus like really factual questions of like specific things and times and dates, and then like the response to that would be like rhetoric.
Yeah,
Like
but
eventually Anna did give in to you and be like, "Hey, it was a coup. Who gives a fuck?" And like,
Yeah. Eventually, and then she brushed past it. But her initial answer was no, it wasn't a coup. She was they were all over the place, right? It's like I thought these guys would know the topic enough to debate it with me.
well, no, because
That's what I
didn't have that
the
conversation,
way
but
you were.
you don't have to, like-
Corey, I cut you off for this, but the way you were arguing coup, you were kind of doing like this whole thing of it was unconstitutional. The Ukrainian people had no right to do that, and it's like
It was
dog.
unconstitutional.
Well,
I mean, yeah,
well,
but that's like they evicted the dude that was elected. That's the whole point.
Well,
Is that
you know
They did remove the dude who was
I'm
elected.
saying, were y'all messing
Yes.
through definitions?
what I find really interesting though, in all this
Sorry,
is-
hold on. So hold on.
This
We got a few
budding
people here.
democracy was
We
built
got
on
a
a
few
coup.
people we're trying to talk. So Corey apparently got interrupted. So if you want to say something, then we go to Bam, then we go to Gibbs.
Well, I was just going to sort of like, I guess, whatever, finish my point in terms of like, Lacto just pointed out that they're emotional. Like, that's also not a debate point in your favor. Like, just saying that they were emotional, therefore they had bad points. Like, that also doesn't address the argument, right?
What I'm saying is that they were emotional
Feeling
and
their
angry
emotions.
in lieu of any good points. Like, you can watch the whole thing. I was cut off every like 4 words. It was a struggle to get any kind of like.
Well, how slow were you speaking?
Can't relate. Never
I
had that
was
happen
speaking
before.
actually pretty quickly. I had
But
multiple aspirants.
I will give Lactoid that. I watched the entire thing. They were really like, it was more like emotional rhetoric to like, you know, like, because I mean, Lactoid's point is kind of annoying if you're Dylan or
It's
irritating, bro.
It's
It's facts are
inconvenient. It's
annoying.
inconvenient, I would say.
Yeah.
I can believe it.
And then to be fair, it's like, I mean, you have like what just happened with like tenant media. You have what happened in like the past of like, you know, Facebook and all this Russian interference. So it's kind of like, damn, bro, this kind of just sound like Russian shilling real quick, you know?
That's what they
But
say
conservatives
whenever
would
they
say
get
that
challenged
if
on anything.
the
So
other
what-
side-
it was really
Unless you
annoying.
give maximal money to Ukraine, you're
Yeah.
a Russian shill, and you can't be trusted.
Let's go to Bam, then Gibbs.
I was saying again, this is without me being a part of the conversation at all, but when your framing of like, oh, they eventually admitted to it being a coup, was it an initial? You made your initial point. There was a disagreement, and then was there like a clarifying of definitions? Because that
No, it wasn't. What it was the very classic, like, first it never happened, then, like, it's propaganda if you say it happened, and then it was like, well, maybe it happened, but it wasn't a big deal, and then at the end it was, well, yes, it happened and they deserved it. We
Yeah.
literally went through like all the steps, and at the end they were saying, yeah, it happened and he deserved it. He should have been killed. Like
No, I'm saying
at the very end, that's where we got to.
I got you, but I'm saying that like a lot of times in these conversations, disagreements start because what you call this is not what I call this, and then we argue for 45 minutes and come to some mutual definition, at least for the purpose of this conversation. Even if I don't like your definition, I understand the argument you're making,
Yeah.
and I say by that, if you mean this, then sure.
No, I understand. Like, I understand that happens, but that wasn't the circumstance.
That wasn't this. Okay.
No, this circumstance was, I was like citing, Article 108 of the Constitution, what the responsibilities of the RADA are under Article 111, the specific dates as to what was happening.
Oh, this nigga is saying specific dates and times.
Yeah. Well, this is important because the timeline matters.
He came ready, bro. He came with a bag of facts. It was just dates. Eastern European.
I made a whole obsidian about it. Okay,
he practiced those names for a week before that panel.
No, I didn't. No, I've got an obsidian. I have got all my sources in there. I said this during the debate. Anybody who thinks that I'm incorrect or lying about anything, reach out to me. I'll send you the source of what I'm talking about. I have sources for all the claims that I made, and I'll have sources for any claims I make about today. This is a topic that is very fact intensive.
Oh, sorry, hold on. Before you do that, hold on. We got to let some other people go. Let's go ahead and Gibbs.
Yeah, so I mean, just in conjunction, because I know like Ukraine is like kind of one of Wick's big things right now, and it's happened. It happened on the panel like the day before. It happened on this panel, on that panel, and then now what I've really found interesting, in addition to all this, right, is the purity testing in regards to like why you support Ukraine, right? Like I advocated pro Ukraine positions for a while, right? Like I've been like, one, I don't like Russia. Never really been a huge fan. Two, I got military industrial complex stocks. Let's make some money, baby. America's chief exports war, right, et cetera, et cetera. And then I'll say this, and I'm like, hey, I'm doing what you want. I'm saying let's send them all the money. Let's send them all the stuff. And then all of a sudden they're like, no, I don't want to be in the same, side as a money profiteer, a war profiteer.
Your mask off.
Hold on, yeah, I'm mask off, which is interesting to me because then I turn around and like the way I look at it is Ukraine is a bunch of gangsters. Right, they're a bunch of gangsters, corrupt motherfuckers. Like all I've ever known about Ukraine my entire life growing up was, yeah, sure. Well, I don't like. I'm pro gangster over Russian dictator, I guess. But like, if they're gangsters and they have hot women, that's all you need to know about Ukraine. That's all anybody's ever known about Ukraine. That's all there is to know about Ukraine. And then so we're sitting here, we move over to Russia. They're pieces of shit. So then it's like, okay, we're looking at a battle between two pieces of shit. Right. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to support this guy because I can at least make money. And you tell them this, they're like, no, you're evil. And it's like, they're fighting for their people. I'm like, well, their people don't seem to want to be fighting because they're picking them up in the middle of the streets. Like, and then you say this to them and they're like, well, that's propaganda. And it's just like, all right, what world are we living in? Are we living in the world like the facts? Are we living in the world of the feelings? And there's this like purity test that like has to go with it. And it's like, we don't want you on our side, even if you're saying the same thing as we are. Because I don't see any difference between this and the Hunter Biden stuff. Like, it's just one side is paying like another, like Ukraine's paying the Dems to get them in power, or whatever. That's what the Republicans edge. Now the Elon's alleging that the Ukraine's hacking his cyber team. So it's just like, you're picking your favorite mascot here. I don't know, is what it's become as opposed to what it was.
I think that what we're going to see is like probably 30 years from now, we're going to, when we look back at this and like the kind of common conversation about this, it's going to be very similar to, I think, what we talk about now in Vietnam as compared to what people talked about Vietnam then, right? Whenever there's like an ongoing American interest conflict, the sort of, get on board, otherwise you're a bitch kind of comes on. But then afterwards, after a few decades, we look back and we're like, it was a little bit more gray than we kind of gave it credit for. There was some fucked up shit. Come on.
Oh wait, what's the analogy to the USA in this conflict?
Well, the USA is never wrong. First of all,
conspiracy. Yeah, exactly. Gibbs needs to assert that.
So there's all.
What's the analogy with Vietnam, USA, and Russia, Ukraine?
Sure. I mean, the analogy is that it's a conflict.
Vietnamese are better fighters.
Well, at the time, right, it was a conflict in which the South Vietnamese were freedom fighters fighting for pure liberation. the Gulf of Tonkin happened. It turns out there was a bunch of falsehoods relating to the Gulf of Tonkin incident. You know, the Americans had been involved prior to the Vietnamese War. They had been involved because the French had left back. The French were involved in the 50s. There's all sorts of shit that was left out. And then when you look at Ukraine, yeah, currently there's indications, but there's no definitive proof that the CIA was involved. But all we do know that there's a lot of NGOs that are funded by various organizations, including USAID, that exist in Ukraine, and a lot of stuff, and a lot of quote unquote independent media gets a lot of its funding from the U.S. government. And there is definitely a interest that the U.S. government has in fomenting dissent in
it's very
countries.
convenient. Yeah, it's very convenient that the government that was elected, so not elected, excuse me. So there was a government that was more aligned with Russia, and then it gets tossed for a person who is Western aligned, right? That is a story that happens often, and oftentimes when it comes out the end, that there is support from America or the West in general for those situations. And that support can come in all kinds of ways, right? It can come direct monetary support, it can come with logistics, or maybe, right? Or maybe it's even let's say they had physically nothing to do with it, right? But afterwards, do we accept this leader, right? Because coups happen when we're not involved, and then the United States specifically rejects those people. But it seems like we're all too happy to take Zelensky, and the guy who happens to agree with us, I guess he is legitimate now.
Yeah, and we know those conversations were happening because of the Newland phone call.
Sorry, you're skipping a step, right? Because when Newland wasn't talking about Zelensky, right? What Newland wanted was somebody who was going to be an interim leader that she preferred, right? And then that interim leader just held the position long enough to have its first election, and in that first election, Poroshenko won. So now if we want to say, oh, well, Poroshenko was the CIA choice then. He's the CIA guy. Okay, fine. But guess what? 4 years later, he became very unpopular, and he lost to Zelensky, who was running against the person that I guess people want to say was the CIA pick, right? So the CIA pick lost to Zelensky, and Zelensky ended up being that candidate that was willing to criticize both sides, was able to criticize Poroshenko and criticize the Russian side. And now we want to say, oh, no, he was the CIA pick, not Poroshenko. And it just goes on. Poroshenko actually was quite corrupt. And one of the reasons why Zelensky defeated him was because he pointed all that stuff out. Now, if the CIA wanted to, I guess you could say the CIA was playing five-dimensional chess or whatever, and set up Poroshenko to be corrupt so that their real corrupt person could then defeat him by showing how corrupt they were, I guess. But that gets very complicated.
No, fair enough. That's fair.
Yeah.
And also, real quick, I agree. I don't know to the extent the CIA was involved. I mean, we have plenty of examples of certain leaders that the CIA tolerates, and then if they get out of line or if something happens, they fall out of favor, right? Batista is one example of this, right? Saddam Hussein, but also Batista in Cuba. Initially the U.S. was pulled all support for Batista because he had sort of outlived his favor for the U.S. So Castro was able to take power.
I understand depending on the particular conflict you're looking at, I understand why history can give us can give us better perspective of the events we have today. But I think in this conflict in particular, is there some historical context that justifies Russia invading a sovereign country?
Yeah, Russia wanted to.
There's definitely plenty of historical context.
There's a context,
but justifying it gets a little more complicated.
No. Hold on. Why are we pretending that Russia is ever justified? This is the same thing. Do you think okay? This is kind of the problem I had with your take, right? And this is really all it takes.
Russia's never justified anything they do, right?
Yeah, well, no, it's the same thing. When we go look at let's look at. I hate to be the guy that brings up the Nazis, but let's just use when they invaded the Rhineland. They're we're going to go and protect ethnic Germans, and then they go and wow, okay. So then Russia, same thing. We're going to go protect ethnic Russians. That'd be like me going tomorrow, be like, hey, the Apaches actually own this part of Mexico outside of El Paso, and it's lawless. The cartels control it, so we're going to invade Matamoros and take it over because the Apache signed a treaty with Texas back in the day during the Texas Revolution, and that's ancestral Texan land. So we're gonna save ethnic Texans. Like, I mean, whenever we're just coming up with reasons, it's not real reasons. It's Russia wanted it, and they just put something out there that they could send out to the media circles. Like, come on.
I'm not sure that's not like a real reason necessarily. And so this is like not my thing. Like this conflict, I don't know as much about it. So just be clear about that. But what I'm hearing is that on those states, right, like the Donbass and that other region, right, that were initially entered, that those places are like filled with like people who are ethnically Russian, people who identify as Russian, speak Russian, and like consider themselves as such, really, right? And that those people, there's like a hard split within Ukraine between both sides. That that initial election before the coup, right, the person who won was favored by the East.
Overwhelmingly,
Yeah, the East overwhelmingly. And like it's a deep cultural split, and that and the thing I'm not sure about, and maybe someone can enlighten me, is that in those eastern states that those people were facing some sort of suffering some sort of level of oppression from Ukraine. That's what I've heard, but again, I don't know much about that. And if that's the case, well, then that's all the pretext you need. Then exactly that these people who like a line was drawn within like to mark off Ukraine, right? Not like this was like the borders have changed here, right? So a line was drawn at some point, and we had Ukrainians on one side that feel that they're Russian, but they don't not really respect that border in that same way. And so like if Russia comes in and saves them, right, and assists them, then yeah, it's helping ethnic Russians in all the ways that we consider, right?
It's interesting that those new lines
Yeah,
that
I mean,
we're
I'm
drawing
not buying
now
that, but
are somehow line up with like 80% of the natural gases and minerals.
yeah, I mean that'd be
of
like if
Ukraine.
Mexicans in California tomorrow were like, well, we've developed a deep cultural divide with the U.S., and so now everybody that's not part of the Texas Revolution that was part of the Mexico during the Mexican American War, or all our people that live here now, we're gonna try to go back to Mexico. Like that's
Well, hold on, wait,
ludicrous.
let's take let's using your example for a second. Let's say you have a scenario where
State wants to secede.
there's a couple, like let's say there's a lot of Mexicans in California, which there's a lot of people who are
Let's say
ethnically Mexican.
Hypothetically, pure hypothetical.
And Spanish is like, let's say over time, like Spanish is like very openly spoken. In some places, let's say even like exclusively
Hypothetically.
spoken, hypothetically.
Hypothetically.
And then let's say that there's an election, and in the election, there's like a candidate who's like very pro-Mexican, and then on the other end, there's a candidate that's like pretty anti-Mexican. And then the pro-Mexican candidate wins, and then there's a coup, and the pro-Mexican candidate gets thrown out of office illegally and has to flee the country, and the anti-Mexican candidate takes over. You wouldn't expect any separatism from the Mexicans living in California.
Would you accept that? I mean, if they were trying to break away to go to Mexico?
If those citizens did it, that's one thing. But if Mexico chooses it as a time to invade the United States, I don't like.
I see that. I don't like this argument because with this,
I know you don't.
Yeah, Mexico invaded California
because this would seem to like basically indicate like, oh yeah, you have the right to leave, but you don't if you don't have the means. For our revolution, the Spanish and the French helped us a lot. That doesn't mean that we were unjustified in our revolution, right? I mean, we have no taxation without representation. And how can you claim that these people are represented when the presidential candidate that they elected got couped?
Well,
the Constitution
speaking of
specifies how long they're supposed to be president for.
The American Revolution is different from Russia, Ukraine, the United States, and whoever countries like all bought into the Budapest Memorandum. Russia's agreed not since then multiple times that no, this is your sovereign territory, that we won't invade you, and the United States has agreed if something does happen, we'll protect you. So give up your
No.
nukes.
No,
Give
no,
up
we
your
didn't. We never
nuclear
said
weapons.
protect. That didn't happen.
Yeah, there was
Well,
no.
there
according to both the U.S. and Russia, there was
no
this
security
memorandum.
agreement. Yeah, I know,
Yeah, it was just a memorandum. That's all it was. It wasn't any
Mm.
kind of binding treaty. It was basically a statement of affirmation, a statement of.
Speaking of the
But,
EU, what
but
about the
what I'm
18
saying, but I think there's an
What about-
expectation.
How about NATO right now? Because I have questions about this.
Yeah, what about the
memorandum.
18 billion that they suddenly found to loan
Where?
Ukraine?
Who did?
The EU.
What do you mean?
Oh,
the
to fund
18
Ukraine.
Yeah, to fund Ukraine. 18 billion. They just suddenly
The
found
EU
that.
been
It's
funding
under
Hold on.
the whole time.
But the EU had always been funding. EU has been funding
outfunded the United
Ukraine
States.
more than the US, right? Like slightly more than the US in terms of. Well, it's like it's not.
Yeah, Trump
like-
just made that up. That's not actually like the EU's been funding Ukraine
Yeah, they have been the entire
this
time.
entire time.
I love bags.
I mean, not as much as we have been, but
No, they
I'm about to
it's
say
been pretty close.
more.
Well, no, that's what Prime
It's-
just said. Is that the EU has spent more
slightly
money
more.
with Ukraine than we have.
Yeah, they have.
It was slightly.
I'm about to say no
yeah.
matter in raw dollars and in percentage of GDP, they've sent more than us in both categories.
I don't think that's right. I know it's super close. It could be like slightly more, but my understanding was the U.S. gave slightly more when you factor in all financial aid and military spending.
Well, there might be some sort of calculation where maybe it's slightly more. The calculations I saw that was slightly less, but the point is that like it's not as if EU was lagging behind. I'll look into it. But like
Especially
No,
now
the,
that-
the big difference is between grants and loans. So the vast majority of the money the EU gave is in the form of loans that are expected to be paid back. The vast amount of money,
I don't even
vast
think
amount
that's
of money
true.
that we pay. No, this is 100% true. I can send you links on this. The vast majority of money.
Those loans are expected to be forgiven. It's just that's future
They
legislation.
might be forgiven, right? But for
Well, I think
us, it
even
was
the
grants.
president of France literally came out and said a lot of their money that they gave weren't loans. Like they said that was a miss.
I mean, maybe France specifically, but when you look at like a breakdown, like the EU primarily gave loans, we primarily gave grants.
I don't know. Like I said, the United, it's so weird the way we frame these things of like because we write them down in money. We use these opportunities to clear out our old military equipment, and then we give that money to Raytheon and Boeing and all of our military manufacturers to create new equipment. That's like all we're doing. Like
This is also a point. When you actually look at the breakdowns of like the material being sent, most of that shit, like including especially the ammunition, which we sent a lot of, that stuff doesn't have like a operational expiration date in the same way. Like there's a that
I wouldn't
perhaps
say it's
like,
expired.
Well, hold on there.
Well,
Wait,
there's
here's the
some-
thing: you're
there's
not. You're also not factoring in this though, right? So yeah, some of it we're sending like old stuff that's going to be out, like our old Javelin missiles. They have like what, like a 2 or a 3 year lifespan.
yeah, but they can't say what the split is, right?
But that's fine. That's fine. The thing is that you're not realizing is one, and the only reason I know this is because one, they're producing new ones for us because we're sending them our old stock, and we have to build the new replenishments, which is great for the American taxpayers.
No, it's not good.
But
the
no,
taxpayer.
it's not good. It's good for the old military-industrial complex.
It's good for the military-industrial complex.
Yeah,
that's
yeah, which is great for me. So listen, keep on going, guys. And
Which
secondly,
is a taxpayer, lactoid Jesus.
Yeah.
wrong again.
So
and secondly, the other thing you're not factoring in with that is that, like, although we're selling them like a lot of the old tech, right? We're also selling them upgrade kits for a lot of this shit. Like, what was it, the M60 tank or whatever? They've got the modern M60 tank that like upgrade things.
The M1
These
Abrams.
old ones we slap on.
Doing Call of
No, not the
Duty.
M1 Abrams one. The one before that. But yeah, so we'll slap on those on there, and then we can ship them out. Like we've been doing the African countries for a while, and that's good for the military industrial
So
complex.
I'm on factcheck.org, so take that as you will, right?
Sounds biased.
It says-
Biased liberal site.
It says, well, again, that's why I told you what it was, so you guys can make your own ideas. But it says, contrary to Trump's claims, Europe has provided more in aid than the U.S., according to the Kiel Institute for the World Economy, a German research organization that tracks funding for Ukraine. The U.S. has so far allocated about 121 billion, compared with about 140 billion from Europe. Now, it goes on to say, in referencing previous stuff that I didn't read, it says the Kiel Institute's figures are lower than what the U.S. Congress has appropriated because the Institute only includes direct bilateral aid. It also shows figures for what additional amounts have been committed but not yet allocated. There's not much more than the U.S. has committed, but Europe has committed another 122 billion. So there's lots of figures going around here. So there's the aid that's actually been distributed, right? Then there's the aid that's been allocated, right? So more has been allocated, not all of it has been distributed. on both sides, right?
Look in the group chat real
And
quick.
sure, I'll take a look.
So the last
this is-
number I
this is from
found
the
from
Kale
one
Institute, which I think is
agency,
interesting.
and it was up until last year, was 196 billion contributed by the U.S.
I don't think I've been
as
in my
of
group
today,
chat.
I'm at like 185. Is the highest number I've seen.
It's closer to
Yeah, I read
185. Trump keeps saying 350.
Somebody add me to the chat.
Either two things are one of
I think he's combining the EU's numbers with.
he might be doing that. He might be doing that unless there's a whole bunch
Well,
of money
it wasn't
somehow.
Trump's
There's money
number,
that
it was-
wasn't recorded that was sent over, which
Or he's a liar.
or
Oh,
he's
man.
Because
Well, what do y'all think about Ukraine allegedly attacking Musk today?
350 billion in aid, and he just acclimated all of that to the United States. That's what I've like. That's the only way I've been able to justify it. I'm like, I don't think he completely made it up. I think he heard it, but I think he heard it as total aid to Ukraine, and he assumed that none of it was the EU's.
Well,
that's
what do y'all think
likely
about
what it is.
Ukraine's alleged attack on Musk properties today with a cyber attack?
We don't know. Hold on. We don't know anything about that yet.
Alleged. I said alleged.
It's alleged. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if these are updated statistics. So yours ends the graph you sent ends in December 2024. I don't know if because this report came out on March 4th, 2025. So there's been additional funding.
Yeah, maybe the Europeans stepped it up. Maybe. But
yeah, again, I don't know. Yeah, just
I mean,
but it is like ultra close. Like it is super close.
Yeah, it's not.
close.
Yeah, I want to say it's not. Yeah, this close.
But the point is that Trump was saying that like it's like double, possibly triple the amount that Europe is sending. That's completely false. It's not even close to true.
Yeah. I mean, that's of course not. Yeah, I would agree. That's not true.
It's a gazillion times.
But when you do look at when you look at the picture, I mean, we're giving a lot more again in the form of grants as opposed to loans. And the EU is a conglomeration of many different countries that has twice our population, a little bit more than twice our population.
Wait, twice
in the United States
population?
Really?
That's true.
The entire EU, yeah, it's like over 700 million.
Oh,
I
I don't know. Actually, I'll look it up.
Yeah, I mean, they got some countries like Greece that don't
Doesn't
exist.
sound right.
500.
Maybe I'm talking about Europe as opposed to just the EU. Give me a second.
Yeah, that's what I'm.
EU was
wondering.
like 450.
430.
Oh, you're right. 450. Okay, that's still that's still 100
100 million more. Yeah.
Yeah, 100. Yeah, okay. I guess I was counting all of Europe. All of Europe is like.
Yeah, but you're counting like
That's
you're
correct.
counting like a union compared to like us as just like an individual country.
That's what he's
right?
saying.
Yeah, I know. Like it's.
No, wait, it's United States of America. I believe.
Yeah, but the United States,
That's
the
true.
EU.
We got to break it down by state. True. Good point.
Well, if you
that's what
also
the
include
EU
Canada, I mean,
Whoa,
the
whoa,
numbers
whoa,
aren't
whoa.
even.
Soon to be. The
51.
Hey,
51.
Ori and Lacto, how did y'all get
51.
in here without paying the tariff? That's crazy.
Hey, well, I mean, I don't know where. I think Ali is in one of the states that's their electricity bill might go up due to what's happening, but I don't know. Let's see.
The Trump, right, y'all,
Whose electricity bill is gonna go up?
Well, I know that Ontario is since Canada exports a lot of energy to United States. I think it's Michigan, Minnesota, another state because Ontario provides energy to some of those states, and yes, there's a 25%.
Oh, I'm out of Michigan now. I'm getting fucked by the taxes in Massachusetts, so it's a different it's a different system over. But I'm still getting fucked either way. Damn. Wait, the tariffs affect the energy?
Well, no, this is like a specific unique thing in terms of just like if this is like sort of an extreme option of like Canada sends like 5 billion barrels of oil a day to United States. If we just shut that off, that has obviously that's going to hurt us Canada, but it also hurt United States pretty severely.
Corey, well, what you don't know is that Minnesota voted Democrat in the election, so fuck those people. They can get no electricity. Unlike the wonderful great nation state. Yeah, they're not American. Unlike the wonderful great nation state of Texas, who has recovered from our freeze.
Fucking doomed.
You make your own electricity grid. That it worked out great for y'all.
It works out really good. Actually, we've added more batteries, and we haven't had a single problem since that one time. Listen, we learned from our mistakes. Unlike the rest of the United States.
Inch of snow in your
Hey,
country.
listen, I don't know if you know this, but in Texas, we call the week. That was just us call the week.
Jesus Christ. So I mean, random question. I guess it's not random. Is everyone who voted for Trump, or are all of you still happy with your vote at this point?
Brother,
Ecstatically happy, actually.
Yeah, there's nothing that will
Bro, hey, listen, this is the biggest.
It's been getting better and better, bro.
Bam, they all gotta put this mask on and lie like they're okay with what's happening, right? Because they voted for him, they got to they got to die on the hill,
No.
right? But I've asked this question.
But
If
I
gotta
gotta be honest.
if it's a total failure,
depends on
what do
the
you have to say? Oh, no.
Like I think if someone said that
win.
like I don't care what happens to the economy as long as like the immigration thing's locked down, then I'm like, okay, that's your argument. If you used to think that Trump's doing great on the economy right now,
Fantastic.
that's where the cope will come out.
Look,
Nah.
if I regretted my vote,
I
would
love
say
these
it.
armchair economists.
I don't regret it. I don't regret my vote. I mean, obviously, I knew there was going to be things that were going to come up that I'd be critical of. One of the things here being this Mahmoud thing, where apparently we're deporting people, green card holders for being
Against
or
Israel,
against
baby.
Israel. Yeah.
Well, let's talk about the economy
USI.
comment that you just said.
USI.
Bam just made a comment though about the economy's the shit. Let me break something down for you. You know that right now we're a 4-month dip, right? Oh, the pain. Oh, so bad. This 4-month dip is the highest as Joe Biden was ever. So basically, the best of Joe Biden's policies 3.5 in are Trump's worst. Like, so all I gotta say is we're winning. Even our bad times, our hiccups are better than the best of the Biden.
The Dow was down further than like years.
Also, we need to. I don't know if you know this, but we have found that most of Biden's executive orders and pardons were signed by AutoPen. Very suspicious. Looks like Biden didn't even know what he was signing now.
So what did I hear? What did I hear? What did I hear for 4 years? That to deny that the economy is having problems is to deny the pain of the people who are going to the grocery store.
But nobody's denying that there are
paying
problems
so much
right
more
now.
for eggs than they used to, and all this other stuff. Like I think
if you're a farmer or rancher, this is great.
I think at this point,
I think at this point, be honest.
If you're Gibbs, everything's great.
Oh, no, let I go. Sorry,
it's real good. So when you ask if I like my vote, I'm a huge fan.
The strategy right now is to just point at whatever's happening and call it good. Like that's the strategy.
No, it's not. I disagree with that.
I know Democrats did that, especially it was a lot of cope 2 years ago when inflation was like getting close to 10%.
I have to disagree with that, man. I knew it was going to get worse, and it is bad. It may get even worse.
Probably will.
It will get better under Trump than it was ever under Biden.
What's better for you?
Like it would be one thing if we had
I would like to see the unemployment number. Hold on, I'll answer that. I'll answer that.
T-bills, then you're golden right now.
I'll answer that.
There are people who are winning in this market.
I would like to see unemployment levels as low as they were during Trump. I'd like to see interest rates as low as they were during Trump. I would like to see. I would like to see
4.1 and just
everything back better than it was when Trump was in his first term.
Sure. So
we're not doing anything.
I can only listen to one at a time.
Can I clarify?
Oh, sorry, we were wrong.
You expect an unemployment lower than 4%, as in like you'd only be satisfied if it's lower than it currently is, like 4%.
Yeah, I'd like to see interest rates back down around 2.25, 2.75.
Wait, what went up last week?
Unemployment.
You expect 2% or 2.5% unemployment.
No, he said interest rates.
I said interest rates. I can only hear one of you talking at a time.
Okay, so I heard unemployment rates.
Okay.
So were you?
I said I would like to see interest rates where they were when Trump left office the first time. I would like to see unemployment rates as low as they were when Trump left office, 6 months before he left office before COVID. I would like to see that. Would you not? Do you not want to see it? Wait, I mean, obviously you're Canadians, you don't care, but
I don't know what it was. I don't know what it was in around 2018.
Depends on what that does to inflation.
I'm just curious. I'm not an economist, but grid one, do you want is your optimal scenario 0% unemployment? Or what's optimal?
Well, that's impossible, Corey. Come on, man.
Well, no, I'm asking hypothetically. Can you give me a number, a ballpark?
Well, I think that we were at about 4.5% or something like that. It was as low as it had ever been in some time under Trump. Is that correct? Am I wrong?
I'm trying to look it up right now, but I'm curious. What would you say? If unemployment was lower during Biden, would you consider that a success?
Well, hold on. This is the trick that he's about to get you with, Grid. is that
Rick,
everybody had
using
3
numbers.
jobs during Biden's economy.
Oh yeah.
So like unemployment was like -5%, or some bullshit. That's
No,
what's
I mean,
about to
no, it's
happen.
not.
Oh, but
It's not. It's that you don't want the Fed actually targets unemployment to be somewhere between 3 to 5%, just because that means that you have people in between
Yeah,
jobs,
the
like
healthy level, right?
your economy's moving.
There's also, just to be clear, like
at that point right now.
I
Greg.
posted some of the stats here. I mean, we have what in December of 2024, so before Trump takes office, we have an unemployment rate of 4.1%, and then it goes,
That's Satan's
and
website.
then we're still at 4.1% in February of 2024.
Sounds
Sorry.
You're using the devil's website.
2025.
February of 2025. It's 4.1%. So we really haven't moved at all in terms of the unemployment rate. And then in terms of inflation, it did go up from like 2.9 to 3, and it's expected in February. The expectation is that, I guess the estimation based on this website is that it's going to be 2.9 again. So this isn't like shit's going crazy. This is like shit's kind of staying the same.
Well, what's also like,
well,
I
staying
want
the
to
same,
point out
but
the
things were
problem with
terrible
the-
before. So if they're staying the same, then they're
No,
still terrible. Is what you're saying.
well, so I want to point out the other thing that like you're kind of glazing over, right? Like, is that like at least on the Republican side, I know that we didn't trust numbers from the government, right? And the government would say we have this great number, and everybody's working one job or something. We're all doing that, and then Monster.com would come out and say, "Hey, the average American is working 2 different jobs," and they would be like, "No, that doesn't count. That doesn't count. Trust the government." What does Monster.com know? And Monster.com is like one of the premier, job hunting websites. And then like another one would come out and say the same thing. They'd be like, "Well, 40% of Americans, the 50%," and like they'd be like, "Well, no, but these numbers are saying they're fine. Look at how good the predictions are doing." Then 6 months later, we'd see the predictions come out and they'd be revised and they'd be total dog shit. And we'd be like, "Oh, well, we told you so. The Monster numbers and the other job hunting site were right." And y'all will be like, "No, it means something else."
Would it be accurate then?
With the federal government, we're just not.
Gibbs, would it be accurate?
Our economy is just in a place where we're not giving out full-time jobs. Full-time jobs, like 40-hour work weeks, are just hard to find. Jobs are a lot of jobs are hiring on for like part-time work. So people are picking up Uber.
Yeah. So Gibbs, would you say then that the metric we should be looking at is real wages versus inflation?
I mean, the Biden administration, real wages did outpace inflation.
I don't know. I would say that there's probably multiple metrics I would want to look at, like what's how much people have in savings, like what those savings are. I don't necessarily see like the job metric as one that I think is really a good one that people use. Like I brought up homelessness as a metric. If you're homeless, even if you're only temporarily homeless because you're searching for a job, that's one thing. But if you're like homeless and you still have a job, that's an indication that I think the economy is not as good as people think it is, because either your standard of living's too high. I think there's like a litany of metrics that I think that, I don't know, the Dems seem to want to ignore, like as opposed to like Republicans who are like, well, yeah, these 3 metrics are good, but these 9 are bad. And like, I don't know, that was the problem I think that we had with the disconnect between reality and I think that the voters.
I got a couple of things. First of all, the whole thing about the gig economy and people picking up part-time jobs because that's all they can afford. Well, it's all people are hiring for because the insurance is so high now. The taxation is high for full-time employees. Workman's comp is higher for full-time employees. So a lot of companies will not hire full-time, period. We know that. It's a problem due to our overregulation. And if we want people to have a job where they work 40 hours a week, we got to get rid of that regulation. We got to get some sense of reality back into the job market. And I don't know how to do that. I'm not the guy for that. But as far as what you're talking about,
we just don't have worker unions. I was about to say the only reason we don't
Does
have
the reality come with like
we don't want to provide
more at all or not?
Yeah.
Well, the workers' unions aren't helping that. They're the ones that are helping the regulations take effect. Gibbs, Gibbs, what do you think? How could we stop or possibly or slow down, stop, or possibly reverse the massive wealth transfer that's happened because of real estate being bought up by investment funds, just investors in general leveraging massive amounts of debt and credit to buy multiple houses. And and then
This is gonna sound
pricing
kinda
the average consumer out of the market. What do you think? That's a and what do our Democrat friends think about how to reverse that? Because if the
Well, I have the
issue is,
answer.
I know that you do, but if the issue is that, well, you can't earn enough of a wage to buy a house, you can't earn enough of a wage to do X or Y or Z, how do you solve that? How are you guys going to solve it?
Pay people.
Well, you gotta wait for these people to die. That's what you gotta wait for. Is that this is gonna be the biggest
I knew you were going to say that.
No,
I knew you were going to say that.
It sucks, but yeah, like this is the biggest gonna be when our parents die. It's gonna be the biggest transfer of generational wealth in history. Like, and the thing is, like, yeah, life expectancies are higher, kind of thing. So yeah, it's slowing it down. But yeah, that's what's gonna happen. Is you're gonna have people that weren't land wealth. You know, we're gonna be able to stuff. But hey, guess what? The Dems want to tax on that.
Swing
It's
for
true,
the
though.
down.
I mean, it works.
Hold on. First, you can go Ali first, and I'll go after you.
Yeah, so I mean, like, Grid, you were complaining about like the regulations and the unions and so on and so forth, and we have all these.
I didn't complain about it. I made an observation.
I
I just made an observation. I didn't complain.
You're saying that you can't. No one's hiring because of the regulations, and then like obviously.
Yeah,
you're
it's an
not going to do that.
observation.
Well, the thing is, if you remove the regulations from these businesses, it's not like they're going to pay the people anymore. They're probably going to potentially try to pay them.
Have you ever hired anyone?
Have I ever hired anyone?
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
No, I haven't.
I own businesses, and I can tell you that one of the reasons why I hire people part-time is because based on the average employee cost is thousands of dollars a year less. And I want, and we 1099. I had a whole company that literally every single person that worked for that company was a subcontractor getting 1099.
I bet part of that is you don't want to provide benefits to your workers.
Yeah, there's no benefit. Yeah, I mean, look, this is the game that we have to play. If you're going to put these punitive, crappy, horrible measures on companies to make it harder and harder for them to make money, there are ways around that.
A contract. That's not your
Well,
employee.
I have a different answer.
That's not necessarily true. Businesses do a workaround for that. Like I said, I'm saying that there's like you can make it, you can say whatever you want, but the reality is businesses don't want people to work 40 hours. They'll like force you to get it off the.
I do,
because with 40 hours.
Hold on now. I do. I 100%.
I don't do that. I even hire my seamstresses for my leather shop.
Well, no, I'm saying they don't want to have to provide benefits for that.
Well, there's another way around this that's better, I think, than what he proposed. He might disagree with me. I don't know how his business is structured. For all my businesses, for my like sales company, one, I start off with salary, they get benefits, and then they also get a commission structure. For like even my seamstresses for my leather company, where they have like no discernible skills, they're all just literal Guatemalan immigrants that I brought up, and we've gotten them green cards and shit.
It's a weird way of saying that, man, but okay.
It's fine. No, they are. Well, because I hire people I can trust, and the guy that runs it, he's a Guatemalan guy. He's brought his whole family up. Guess what? We got them all green cards and shit. And guess what? We all pay them like $40K a year plus benefits. And guess what? They work more than 40 hours a week because they're on fucking salary. And that's the way you get around that, because they're going in there, they're getting benefits, and they're willing to work their fingers to the bone because they're getting a salary, and they're pay, and you can get around the 40 hours a week kind of thing with salary. That's my preference.
What's the salary?
He said
I mean, they're getting like 40K plus, 40,000 plus benefits to start.
So I'll
standard living is like 35.
That's what you pay the Guatemalan immigrants?
Yeah.
Couldn't you get away with? I'm not telling you how to run your business. Couldn't you get away with paying them a lot less than that?
But I don't want them to leave because they're good. Once I train somebody else,
this seems to go. Whoa! This seems to go against everything you believe.
Wants to pay people less.
No, Gibbs would do. Gibbs would say. No. Gibbs would say what's good for my pocketbook is good for me.
No, because hiring new people is way more expensive than keeping old people. It's way expensive. So I'd rather keep a worker, and as long as they're getting their quota done or whatever I have set for them, I don't know what roles got set for them.
Back to it.
Yeah, it's cheaper to keep people.
Responding to market forces and setting a price, right? And then the sellers of the work, and they come and they accept that price.
But plus the margins for that company are like 3,000%, so it's like wildly profitable. So
can I just add, just in case any of like Lactoid's clients are listening, have you considered paying him less?
Right?
Have you?
Yeah.
No, look, it sounds like a lot. It sounds like a lot. Okay.
Glad
actually have
like,
a
why not slave wages? Like
no. I actually always pay my employees
Worked
first.
for me, not
He's
for
saying it works in the
lactose.
past. He's saying it worked in the past. I don't know. Why not slave wages?
I'm not, I think it's a good thing if you pay your workers good. That's great. I'm just surprised, okay, that Gibbs of all people would offer a competitive wage as opposed to
Well, you have
Hold
to.
on.
like I'm gonna pay you $10 and a piece of gum per
What do you
day,
think he's
and if you
sticking
leave,
his
I'm
head
gonna
in
drum
the
bar you.
urinal to?
I am loyal to my people, though. If you make me profit, the profit is coming. You're gonna get some of
Let's
this
just try for
profit.
this.
You know, you get a little bit of a taste. You know, everybody get a little
So,
taste.
No, that's
I
right.
want to respond to our friend Grid.
Thank you.
So Grid, before you were talking about housing, right?
Yes.
And people being unable to afford housing. Well, there's a lot of things that's happening within that housing market, right? Like there's a whole like mess of variables
Yeah, I could
that
do
are
a
causing
speech on
housing prices to spike, right? So yeah, so there is large corporations, right, private equity firms, but also ones in non-private equity structures that are buying up large tracts of housing, right? Like neighborhoods are being
Yeah,
bought up.
I'm one
and
of
then
them.
they're being. Of course you are. Of course you are, Grid. Of course you are.
House prices are down, by the way, since 2022.
People still can't
Yeah,
afford
there's
them.
been a
Go
fluctuation.
Biden.
Go Biden. Thank you, Biden, for that. Yeah. But anyway, so yeah, they're
They also shut
buying
up
up.
during Biden.
They're also falling. Sorry, say it again. They're buying up a large tracts of housing, and then they're renting those houses, right? Homes that would be starter homes, they are becoming rental properties, right? Yeah, we should disallow that, right? And if you're a part of that, you shouldn't be allowed to do that either.
Well, I mean,
so
in a free market economy, sure.
and it depends. And again, it depends. Like how large you are. I don't know how big of a landlord you are, right?
We're
Like,
buying 20 houses this year.
20 houses? Oh, that's nothing. I'm sorry. I wouldn't even include you. No.
Okay. 20
but,
houses. I
That's
mean,
a
that's
lot of
that's a
houses.
house every
20
2
houses?
weeks. We were going to
Sorry.
buy 50 houses this year. There aren't enough in that area that we
Oh, I
want to
mean,
buy.
sorry. I made the thing I thought you meant 20 houses total. How many houses within your portfolio in general? Can you give us a round number?
I mean, all right. So it's tough to say because it's a part of we run a fund, a real estate fund.
Okay.
But we buy and we're constantly buying and selling houses. So that the process is we buy a house, we keep it about 2 years, rent it out, and then after 2 years, assuming that it has appreciated and has enough equity value in it, we sell that property off. We're trying to double our investment, whatever that investment is. So if we put 60,000 down, and all of the mortgages paid by the renters, and we can sell it for $100,000 profit, then or over what we paid for it, then that's acceptable to us. We're good with that. Even 80,000 over is fine because we've doubled our $60,000 investment, right? So and so we keep them on the average of about 2 years, and we're just letting the market itself move. We're not influencing that artificially. We were buying about. We were buying a house a week. We've slowed down a little bit because it just isn't enough on the market, and we're actually starting to move the market in the direction we don't want it to. So we slowed down.
Okay, so it sounds to me that you're much smaller than the landlords that I'm talking about. Maybe
we're not progress, but there's
Yeah.
that's a whole different deal. But yeah,
There
Is it
are
over
different.
100 houses? Is it over 100 houses?
Are you saying yes? Are you shaking your head?
do I have over 100 houses in the fund currently? Now, probably not. Probably 60, 80, somewhere along there.
Yeah, so it sounds like to me that you are much smaller than the ones that I'm talking about. There are ones.
They're the larger problem, though. I'm about to say you can focus on like, they're these big ones, but there's probably 1,000 companies, or not 1,000, but there's probably like 100 companies the size of what Grid's talking about that's moving the majority of the market. Like if you say like, BlackRock's doing the majority, they're really not.
Yeah, like
It is
BlackRock-
right there.
BlackRock can do more.
Real estate's less than 7% of BlackRock's portfolio.
Well, hold on. If it's a
BlackRock's
fund, can
portfolio
I
is
ask a
actually
question?
massive. I don't know. Sorry, let me finish my point.
Do y'all have somebody managing the fund?
Yeah, we do.
Do they manage other funds?
No, they manage just this fund. Then they're about to start.
Fund manager. I'll manage your fund, Gibbs. But
I
do you need somebody? Because I mean, I can recommend somebody.
Okay, so the point is that there are many large, and I'm not just talking about BlackRock. There are many equity
Vanguard,
funds, and again, it doesn't necessarily have to be within an equity structure, but there are many large buyers, and they operate right under different names. So they'll have like many different companies, and like that a person will be renting from, but you'll realize that all the companies in this area, right, are actually under the same parent umbrella. And furthermore, and hopefully our friend Grid is not part of this, there are new programs that are using they're calling it AI. Who knows if it's actually AI, whatever, right? But like these programs are basically price fixing the market. So like you agree, right? You buy into this program, right? You agree to allow this app to set your prices, your rents, and that sets the rents across the board, and it keeps adjusting the rents. I think even maybe even down to the room, right? They keep adjusting the rents to maximize profits across the board. Do you know what I'm talking about, Grid?
There's no way for me to do that because we rent. So we're not doing short-term rentals. We're doing year 2-year leases. So and basically we don't need an AI to do it. I just literally look at the comps in the area. I price my properties $100 a month cheaper than everybody else, and I rent. I literally will have 30 or 40 people that want to rent my property before the week is
fair
out.
enough. Then again, it doesn't seem like you're the types that I'm talking about. So anyway, this program, and there's a name for it. I can look that up for you. But it got sued, right? There are a few of these, but the main one got sued by the government under the Biden administration. Hopefully, the Trump administration continues on with that lawsuit, right? For this price fixing that's happening, that's artificially raising rates. So they're not doing what Grid is doing. Grid is doing it the way, if we're believing our friend here, Grid is doing the way that's traditionally done, right? You look at the statistics around your neighborhood, and then you set the prices accordingly as best you can, right? How much will people pay? But this, right, has basically you're effectively colluding with everyone within the area, and then setting prices. So there's multiple things that's happening. One, houses being bought up to be rental properties, houses that would be starter houses for a family. Those things are gone. Housing prices previously that were high. Apparently, the price of the housing market is dipping now, but previously that were too high, and people were holding on to those properties. So people who are already property owners were holding on to that property and then not letting them go. And then, of course, there are foreigners who've been coming in, Russians, Chinese, and maybe others, rich ones, who've been going up and buying these houses, been using them as investment tools, right? Investment assets to park their money because they want to get it out of the country as fast as possible. And they've been putting it within
there's
the
a
US
couple of things with the foreign investors.
So let me
Yeah,
I'm
go ahead,
gonna wrap it all up, right? So you asked me like what should be done. One, we shouldn't be allowing these large corporations to be buying up all of this housing. Like absolutely not. Like again, I don't have a problem with smaller housing conglomerates like what you're doing, right? But there are much bigger ones that are taking up a lot of this land and then also treating their tenants very poorly. That should all be broken up, tossed out. We should allow those housing units back in the market. Two, we should certainly not allow collusion within the marketplace. So again, I hope Trump administration keeps up with that federal lawsuit against that company. Three, we shouldn't allow these foreign investors to be parking their money into the U.S. Housing market. America first, right? Housing for Americans who are actually living there, and to actually use that housing market. They're artificially raising the rates by using it as a housing asset, using our market as an asset. So let's get rid of that. And then on the other side, we have to increase building. That's a separate issue, right? We have had a large collapse of the number of builders, housing builders within the United States, right? There were a lot of builders, but a lot of them didn't survive the pandemic or various other market forces. And so now we have a lot fewer ones within the housing market, right? So a lot of few competitors and just less building that's happening. We need to vastly increase building, right? Either help a new company start up or maybe break up some old ones. I don't know. But we have to look at that as well to increase that.
Yeah, not just about to say we
There's
need
a lot
to
to
building
unpack
and
there.
anything we building.
Anything
we build will help. I just think that there's like I've just because dealing with my job, I deal with people who come in who do new constructions, and there's almost there's like just in the profit margins, there's almost no benefit. There's almost no profit in starter homes anymore. Like
Right.
when
I would,
if someone's building new construction, like they start at a minimum 1900 square foot. You're just not getting. They're just not building like 1400 square foot houses anymore, unless you have like one of those subdivisions that are built for like the tiny homes, the
yeah.
12, 1300. Like
So again, I really want to respond to what Kai said, but before I do that, I'll respond to what Bam said. So we actually are starting to see, because we can build those smaller homes, 1,200, 1,100 square feet. We can build them so fast that it is becoming more economically viable as the price of construction materials drop. Not in every area, but what really screwed everyone. You guys think it's the housing market. It's not. It's actually what happened was there were a bunch of developers across the country. Nashville is one of the worst offenders, by the way. But what they did is they bought up neighborhoods, and instead of putting houses back in after they leveled them, they're putting in condos and townhouses and apartments. Nashville alone has a surplus of 18,000 apartments. You say, well, that solves the housing problem, right? No, it doesn't, because the loans that they had to take to build those apartments back during the during peak of the C-19 and the time after, the loans they had to take out, they had such a high interest rate. There was so much debt incurred that they literally, the people who built those apartments have to charge $3,000 to $4,000 a month, and they would rather let them sit empty and tell the bank that they can't make any money than to put somebody in at a lower price and devalue the property even further. So
I've heard exactly what you're talking about. The same problem exists in Canada. I was specifically watching a video about Canada, but apparently it also applies here to the U.S. Right?
There's a massive over abundance of apartments, townhouses, and condos. The thing is that most young families starting out that want to buy starter homes, they don't want to live in a condo. They don't want to live in a townhouse. They don't want to live in an apartment. They're trying to get out of an apartment. They've lived in an apartment all through college. Now they want a house. They can't do it in most places. Now that is changing, but it's slow. It is slow.
I can understand the feeling of not wanting to do the townhouse thing, just because it's basically purchasing an apartment. I live in a townhouse now.
Right, exactly.
Which is an apartment, like it's an apartment-based townhouse. But like, you're wanting standalone. You want to have your neighbors actually be your neighbors.
Right.
But there's
housing.
I don't know.
Before we move on, right? And I want to hear what you have to say, Bam. Just quickly on that interest rates thing, I think it's really interesting what you said there, Gibbs. Sorry, excuse me, Grid. Oh, because you just went with a G name. That's why I mixed you two up, right? Okay, you have a G name. That's why I did it. I apologize.
They could be two times now. Two times now.
They're both handsome individuals, right? And I can't tell the difference.
They both got the steely blues.
Steely blues, yeah. So
my eyes are gray.
Okay, but
grays. There we go.
Apologies, but in any case, right? So the thing you're talking about interest rates, it's actually very important, right? Because housing doesn't get built instantly. Housing has a lead time, right? So it depends on the project, of course, right? But there's a certain lead time to do that. But you take the loans out at the start, right? And there was a point where the interest rates were so high, but like there was a thought the interest rates continued to rise, right? There was a thought that the housing market was going to keep going up, which never fucking happens, of course, right? But in any case, like people took out loans, and this is across the board, not just for housing, right? But also for commercial projects, where they took out loans at a certain price, and now like they can't rent it out at the prices they were expecting to, and so like you said, a lot of them are keeping them empty for a lot of the reasons that Grid is talking about. That's a really important part that most people don't discuss. So thanks for bringing that up.
I don't understand the numbers. Like I don't understand the logic behind that. Whenever you agree to the loan, you've already ran those numbers. Like your loan is going to be locked in at whatever that rate is at the time of purchase. So I don't like you already understand what rents you can charge
Are,
at the
are they
time of
basically
purchase.
telling the bank just fuck you, like try to sue us? Like what? I
That's
don't get
really
the
what they're
system
doing.
logic.
No, that's exactly it. They're literally telling the bank. But all right, so if they put people in there at $1,000 a month and they're losing X number of dollars a month every month and they can't make their note, they would
Then they
rather
shouldn't have
not
made that
pay
purchase.
any of it and dare the bank to take it, or do something with it.
But that seems like it's such an easy lawsuit. Did the banks
Sure.
agree that if you don't rent it out, then we won't charge you? Because if that's the case, then I could see it. And by the way,
It could be.
what a
And
ridiculous
look,
arrangement the banks would make.
I don't do apartments, so I'm not part of these deals. I just understand where they're at right now. There's like I said, they will not lower the price of the rent of the apartments, and they're all like $3,000 a month. Like the average price for a decent apartment in the Nashville area is like $2,000 a month, $2,100 a month, something like that. These apartments are the loans are based around them getting $3,000 a month rent for these apartments and townhouses, and they
Right,
can't.
but any business that's making that purchase already did these calculations before they make the purchase. You already know.
So the market
whenever you
changed
take on a
radically.
loan.
Yeah, the market changed radically.
I mean, in what ways? Are you saying the rent went down across the
Well,
board?
the rent didn't go up. The problem is the rent has stayed flat. The rent didn't go up. The rent here has been flat.
I mean,
because
why?
we have
keep
an
building them?
adequate supply of apartments and townhouses. They gambled and they lost. They gambled that there was going to be a continued mass in my area. I don't know about Canada. I don't know about any other areas. In this area, what happened is they gambled that there was going to continue to be a mass influx of people moving in that would buy these townhouses, apartments, and condos. That didn't happen. And when people do move here now, they're moving outside the city. They don't want to live in the city. So there's plenty of property for sale. But that's just one aspect of it. The other part of it is I buy houses. We have a couple of realtors that feed us houses every day in the $200,000 range, which is the range that you're talking about, Prime, for starter homes and all of that sort of thing. And we bid against a lot of the people who are trying to buy starter homes. The problem with those people buying is not that the houses aren't there and that the houses are overpriced if they are. The problem is that with the way the interest rates are, the banks are not willing to loan to people who have credit issues. And the biggest problem right now is that there's not a good program for people that are challenged with credit to get into a starter home. Because the home's not going to the bank isn't willing. Banks generically right now are not willing to take a massive risk on that property increasing in value dramatically, right? Especially if it's already a property that's maybe dent and dinged. It's got needs some paint. Needs some work, which is what we're buying. We're not buying. I'm buying fixer uppers, and then I have a guy that fixes them up. So I don't know. I think their housing market's really interesting right now, and I think that there's a lot of mythology based around BlackRock, Vanguard, and some of these other firms. And I think it's very interesting. I go against Progress all the time, and I beat them every time. Progress, American Homes, Liberty, all of those guys. We beat them all the time. They used to. A realtor would call Progress, American Homes for Rent, or Liberty, and there's a couple others. A realtor would call them up and say, "Hey, I've got a house. It fits your profile." And the rep at those companies would just say, "Yeah, just send us over the contract. We'll sign it. We'll take care of it. No problem." That's kind of stopped. They have so much real estate now. The real fear in the market, the thing that everyone's sitting at in front of me and listening to me. The thing that you really need to fear is that the housing market does actually start to tank, or it starts to really accelerate. Because what will happen is BlackRock will sell off its 7% of its holdings in real estate, and when that happens, it floods the market and it could crash the market. 100% could do it, and they'll do it just take the profit. I would hope that they wouldn't.
we shouldn't have let them have be in that position in the first place. But again, I don't want to focus just on BlackRock because I think there
Oh,
is a bit of
I'm sorry.
inequality
One
there
last
as
thing,
well.
Prime, but I almost forgot. You covered such a wide swath.
Sorry, yeah, I did.
The immigrants. So one of the paths to citizenship, especially for countries like China, Taiwan, um, um, the
Russia?
Philippines,
Philippines, okay.
the one of the paths
Southeast
to
Asia?
citizenship is through investment. They have to spend
Oh.
$500,000. So they don't care what the house actually is worth. They will offer $500,000 for the property because they have to spend $500,000. They have to invest.
So hold on. I think that investment's bigger than 500,000.
Well, it may have changed.
But,
I mean, I'm not.
Yeah, I think it's in the millions, but it's fine. My point is that like if it was just immigrants like putting an investment in, and so they can get that the golden visa, right?
Oh no,
then
we're not
that'd
talking
be
about the
fine.
golden visa. This has been something for a long time. One of the ways that someone can get a visa that's not a work visa or tourist visas, whatever, but they can get a visa into the U.S. and Canada through investment. I think it's 500 grand. So their entire neighborhoods in Canada that were bought by people coming over from China, for example, who one guy would buy there and he'd tell all of his friends and they would all buy in that neighborhood, and they drove the real estate market in Canada, in Toronto specifically, through the roof because they have to spend whatever $500,000 American equals to, or whatever the Canadian
real money. Yeah, I understand. Yeah.
Whatever the Canadian.
But no, but what I'm saying is that like like that would in itself be an issue, but like it's more than that. People who aren't even intending to come here or to get that citizenship are putting that money to park their money because they're trying to just get out of their country. So that's like an issue on top of that. They're not even, we wouldn't call them immigrants, right? They're not even planning on coming here or doing anything. They're just putting their money into real estate. They have like companies that help facilitate these purchases where they're buying up these houses, cash offers, like on site, no inspection, where they'll buy these properties, these houses and these apartments, right? And hot housing markets as well, right? Because they want them.
Cal, you're muted. Cal, you're muted.
Someone else.
Anyway,
he was
that's all
speaking and
I
I couldn't hear anything.
So you can, if you have to say something, I'll go ahead.
We
can't hear you.
He doesn't have his headphones on. I'm pretty sure it's someone else.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Sorry.
Maybe somebody.
Okay, anyone else want to jump in? Sorry, we were talking a lot on this, but anyone else want to jump in?
Yeah. I'm sorry.
I just feel like the price of chips lately. Can we talk about that? If we're talking about housing prices, children can't even afford bags of chips anymore when they go to the little grocery store.
Oh my god, the kids are gonna get healthy.
No, honestly, I went to at the grocery store yesterday, and it was like usually have like the two bags, like the large size bags is usually like 2 for $6, 2 for $7. It was 2 for $12. That I was like,
we're done.
I was like, this is insane. We're actually getting them. As far as like
hoes are $2, but you can't even get a cheap hoe anymore.
Day one.
I went to McDonald's and it was now this has actually been a while, but I went to McDonald's for like the first time in forever.
Yeah, you gotta use the new
the last time I went to McDonald's it was like $10, and all of a sudden it was like I think it was $30 or $40 to go to freaking McDonald's.
$18 one day. The last time I got McDonald's was like a minute ago. It was $18 for like, I was like, what the fuck did I eat?
That was my reaction. I was like,
you're not using the app. That's the problem. Seriously.
Yeah, the app is it's so good.
Money.
I use the app.
You're just a fucking like, now you're a slave. You're a real slave at that point. You got to download the app.
What they use dynamic data, those apps, right? They want you to start using that app, and then they're using dynamic pricing to like adjust it depending on the time, the date, and like they'll send you coupons at first to get you hooked on using the app, but then send you less coupons later on.
I get a coupon. No, I get a coupon every single time.
The coupon's not the best way.
Yes, they tell you on the coupon how often you could use it, like once a day or once every what you call it. Like
McDonald's.
the only
McDonald's specifically has got a great reward
McDonald's is
program.
actually trash. The only thing I ever get is a sausage McMuffin for breakfast like once a week. But yeah, you should definitely use the app if you're gonna go there. But you
there's also
have the app.
I avoid McDonald's.
Hold on.
Like
There's definitely different apps.
You can have my data. You can have my look. I'm just never been one of those people.
I refuse.
Ronald McDonald, like, what's your
I have
house,
limits.
man?
I have
What's your
limits.
account?
You can have my data, bro.
Me, son.
He's coming for
Let me
you.
put you on another app. Let me put you on another one. Forget the
50
McDonald's one.
cents off the Egg McMuffin ain't worth it, Bam.
No, hold on. It's not
Actually,
50 cents.
McDonald's eggs is
Hold
awful.
on.
Just
Hold on. First of all,
Yeah, it ain't worth it,
it's not
Their
the
pancakes are
coupons
really
that are
good,
good.
bro.
It's not the coupons that are good for McDonald's. It's the rewards program, right? You earn the rewards. They'll give you like half your meal for free.
Oh yeah, I've probably got like 20,000.
They're amazing. But the other one, the one that's better, I like all the plans that get like points and you can spend them. I went to Subway today and I had like $8 off my meal because I had like 1,700 points or something. And then that was after. Then it was after. No, I got 2 subs and 3 bags of chips for like $15, and that was because
and that was your lunch.
Yeah, that's lunch and dinner. Gonna be lunch and dinner.
Subway is way too expensive.
But I was gonna say
Sonic
has every drink is half price if you use the app.
The one thing I hate about this is that soon we're gonna get to a point where every like it becomes basically necessary to get the app for every single store.
Yeah,
and I'm gonna have to remember all these fucking passwords. So like,
passwords app.
You're gonna become
password app on your phone.
Use the biometrics.
Are you wait a minute? What
Password.
generation are you in? I also hate people like you. You don't need that many passwords. No one is trying to hack you. Just get 1 to 2 passwords.
They're coming for me, man. I
you remember all the
lawyer.
I have a different password for everything.
Have you seen
use the password app
on the internet? Everyone's coming for him. Okay.
Yeah, I have a different password. I gotta change up my passwords.
I've had 2 passwords since I was 12. I know everything I do.
Everyone but the motorcycle company.
That's smart.
It's
same comfort.
Hold on, Lactoid. I have passwords that are different for every single one. They have a password app. All I do is I say Subway and I put my face up and it fills in my password for me.
Wait, hold on. Having a different password for everything and then having them all
I have like 30 different passwords.
Access it like defeats the purpose of having.
Yeah.
Well, if they're able to use my face ID, then I'm either dead or unconscious. So
with AI,
people use none of the Latinas.
No, but actually,
that's why we're getting away from Face ID and the Apple's going back to the side, the finger.
They have the code.
I like the thumbprint. I've never went away from the thumbprint. But I'll say, quick question to y'all. Like we've talked about the issues of Ukraine. You talked about the issues of the housing market. What do you feel like Donald Trump? What is his plan to improve any of these situations?
Nothing, Doc.
Nothing.
Donald Trump's plan is to have the best 4 years where he can scoop the most amount of money on the side and dip.
I don't think it's about money. I felt where you felt. I think he's too rich. I think Donald Trump is like at this point. Everything he's doing is related.
I'm not sure he plans on dipping.
At this point, man, it's like he already has the fame. Here, so he became president, and it's like this is like just about power and like how much can I fucking do? The dude is just like in his method. He's methodically, he's tyrannical. It's fine.
Bam,
like,
I disagree with you about. Bam, I disagree with you about the money. This is the argument that people keep giving me every time they're talking about a rich guy.
I'm not saying he's anti-money.
Wait, hold on, wait.
No, I know. To be clear,
he's using his position as president to like work in deals that he could have never worked in as just like a civilian.
I didn't say that you said he was anti-money, right? Yeah. Well, the thing that I disagree with is just this notion that these rich guys, these billionaires, people who've been working to acquire more wealth, literally their entire lives, have suddenly stopped deciding to acquire more wealth. That these individuals, this is what they do, right? This is why they are rich as they are. Donald Trump for other reasons as well, but anyway, still, like these are why, in general, this is why they're rich, because they want money and they are looking for ways to make more money. And it's always foolish that apparently at some point in time, like we think that these people make a change and decide, no, I actually don't need much more. No, that's extremely rare. And Donald Trump has not shown the temperament at all to indicate that he's that type of person.
Okay, so that strongly disagree with you. Again, I don't think that he has a problem with making more money, but I think Donald Trump's desire, I don't know what to call it, his like to run for president again is related to legacy. I think in his mid 80s, I think
it could be more than one thing.
I think Donald Trump can afford the things he wants to afford. I think he can live as lavishly as he wants to live. I think he's thinking at this point, wow, I want to be remembered for something. That's
You know,
why he's
that's
coming
exactly. I was
to
going to say that
shake up
very
his-
thing.
Saving America. That's what should be remembered
but that
for.
doesn't mean it's a good thing. That doesn't make it a noble
Saving
cause.
America.
I'm saying that he's like
He wants to be remembered as the best president. Period. He really does.
I don't think he gives a fuck about that. I don't think
For
he
saving America.
He really does.
His following, his constituents already see him as king and fucking like the second coming at this point. So I think he's already got that accomplished.
That's fairly insulting.
I don't mean it in a bad way. I mean it for him. Like his followers, whatever like MAGA is, he's succeeded. He is the most famous, if not the best president to these people like forever.
Right.
Right.
But,
Like
but history's not going to record him as the best president. He wants to go down in history as the best president.
I think he knows that the left and the media and all that, whoever controls like the books, will never give him best president. I think he knows that it lies with the people that follow him, and I don't think he cares. I think his ego is in control enough to where he knows he's in power and he's just using that power. I think he's taking this power to become the best, like maybe not, I don't think president. I think he wants to be like the best American, right? Businessman out of New York.
Wait, how is that different? I think this is cope. I think you're coping right now, bro. This is the most amount of cope I've ever heard on this panel.
What about wait? What about this is cope?
Surprise!
I'm not like
this is the most amount of cope I've ever heard on this panel. You really think so? So hold on. He wants to be known as the best American, but not the best president. Are you kidding me right now? Are you kidding me? Come on.
Wait, but y'all are connecting his desires with his action. I don't think there's any connection between those two things. Like I agree with you that yes, Trump wants to be seen, I wouldn't be shocked if he tries to get his face added to Mount Rushmore as the most influential, most important president of all time. But that doesn't mean that he's good at his job or any of his actions are leading him in that direction. I think he's bad for the country, but I think he wants to do things big and dramatic. So hopefully he ends up being remembered because of it.
Well, what if
I think
the terror?
He wants to be memorable. I don't think he's going to go down as best. I think his memorable is all that matters to him.
Bam, I agree with you on that. I agree with anything. I think more than one thing can be true at once, right? I think that exactly he's always been concerned about self-image and he's always been wanting to be loved, right? He's an emotional black hole and he's desperate for approval, right? And like literal approval in terms of approval ratings is actually the one good thing about that is that he's actually quite responsive in terms of like his audience, right? Like his constituents, that like if he feels that they are turning against him, he changes course, right? He like constantly A/B tests his messages, right? With MAGA, and he says, does this work? Then I'll try the opposite message. Does that work? Which one gets the best response? And he'll just go with that. So so he wants to be, like you said, right? He wants to be liked and he wants to be remembered, but that doesn't preclude making money.
No,
right?
it doesn't. No, I just said that.
How's he going to make money, Prime? I really, other than all the money he spent.
You want me to tell you, Green?
Real estate.
Yeah, I really want to hear this.
Well, there's that.
Gotta hear this.
Like he literally rug pulled his fucking audience, right? His constituents just before he got started. Yeah, he literally rug pulled him twice.
Did he really? I didn't know that he was on live with
the meme coin. Yeah.
Like,
you don't have to believe me.
There's a third one coming.
I can only listen to one, guys.
Sorry. You don't have. So yes, he did. Sorry, he did rug pull twice. One with Trump coin, one with Melania coin. Melania coin was even worse than.
And there's Barron coin. Barron coin, guys, buy now.
I haven't seen anything about. I've heard about it, but I haven't like followed.
Yeah, I don't follow meme coins, so I got no idea.
But he literally rug pulled his audience, right? He's okay. There's another thing. He's getting $5 million like lunch dates with him, right, by business owners. Like this is a hot new commodity within the business.
Oh yeah, you can pay sit down, have a
$5 million to Trump to have a sit down dinner or whatever with him, and people are lining up. Now
why wouldn't you?
That's that's how he's making money off of this.
He definitely wants to make money. I mean, half of his campaign finance went to his personal stuff. Like it wasn't like for campaigns purposes. Like he's still making money.
Gibbs, have you bought one?
Listen,
paying
if I
$5
had
million
five,
for that?
I tell you what, if
Oh,
I
yeah.
had 5 million just sitting there,
I mean, you said why
could,
wouldn't
like,
you?
but well, I'll
Okay,
tell you
so
what,
that's the reason why wouldn't you is because you
well,
don't have to.
sure,
Gibbs
sure,
doesn't
that's
have
right.
enough money to like
You
throw
just
around
answered
5
your own
million
question.
I
on
don't
that.
have,
Why you
I don't have 5 million I can just throw away at lunch. But I'll tell you what,
Right.
if I did,
I
would have
agree.
done
It's
that
throwing it away.
yesterday.
That's what it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's not because you listen.
Well,
Okay,
you
if
just
you
said it
don't
was.
think, let's say that you get no benefit other than you got to take a photo with Trump at lunch. Let's just say that's the only benefit you got. All right.
That's a big
If
benefit.
you have,
That can
the
be if
money,
you're the right person.
right. If you have the money to throw 5 mil away for that photograph, that is absolutely worth just the photograph. Like I would say, like if you can market that well, not even factoring in the fact that he may generate policy that's advantageous.
Right.
To
You just
I'm
described
about to say,
it.
yeah, I don't think that, I don't think the picture
bribe.
matters, but but
Well,
Donald
hypothetically.
Trump, if you go to that
You
lunch,
just
What's wrong
and
with
you
described
bribes?
suck
I
him
come
off
for
good
it.
enough,
Yeah.
if you can get him right to the edge
Hypothetically.
and
Bribes mean,
and take the
smart.
words, then absolutely Trump will do whatever you say. Trump is like,
Not a
mean,
bribe.
for better or worse, he's extremely kind to people he thinks.
Yeah, you can just add Elon and he'll probably respond.
All I have to do is at Elon, and you'll get a word in with the president. You don't got to pay $5 million.
But yeah, so what I say is the same motivations I think are true of Elon. I think that Elon is obviously self-interested in making money, but I think that he could, as of right now, if you watch Tesla stock and the way that Donald Trump talks about electric vehicles, I think there's ways that Elon Musk could be placing himself to potentially make more money than he's currently making. But Elon also has a fascination with power and being seen a certain way, and he wants to be remembered as
just a
like
black hole as well.
the most
It's two peas in a
influential
pod.
person
Like,
of
it's
the
just-
21st
Exactly.
century.
No,
Yeah.
I love this like
Yeah,
hate
yeah,
of Elon
Bam.
left as when like 5 years ago they loved him.
No,
Hilarious.
that's not the case.
Who loved
Um,
him?
I'm confused as to like are you guys just saying
Yeah.
like, oh, like Trump wants power? Is that
No,
the-
not really power. Even power's great for creating legacy, but Trump, like I said, I think Trump wants legacy. I think in his late 80s or whatever.
I think like
early,
personal
I think it's 83.
personal
82.
ambition is going to motivate basically anybody for any job. I think it's especially true when it comes to like presidents. But I guess the connotation here is that this is like some kind of critically bad thing.
No, it's not critically bad. It has nothing to do. It has nothing to do with that.
Alright,
It was
alright.
just. I think it started as a conversation around like, oh, Trump is doing this so he can make as much money as possible, and it's like, yeah, he likes making money, but I think that comes secondary to.
Well,
to
I
something
said that. I
else
was like,
at this point.
Who
I'm
here
interested.
doesn't
This
like
rug
making money? I
pull
like
thing
it.
is really interesting. Do you know that Trump still
My
owns
career says
80% of
I
the
don't,
coin?
apparently.
He owns
That's really
80% of the
interesting.
coin.
I didn't know that.
Right.
That
Yeah,
seems
he
like
does.
the rug pull probably hurt him more than anybody.
Sorry,
He
sorry, I
was
didn't hear what you
told.
said.
It did not hurt him.
Great.
Well, Trump apparently
maybe
owns
reputationally.
80% of his meme coin,
that's how you rug pull.
yeah, that's how you do the rug pull, right? Like,
but
let's
he
say you
didn't
own
sell it.
100%.
He still owns it.
He can't sell it, and so the idea
Yeah.
is like you can only sell it after a certain vesting period, and so
Yeah.
there was
A
like a massive
developer
amount
sold
initially,
a bunch.
but then it started going down and down and down, and if it like, and so Trump can't
So
sell
no,
anything
the
from
way
what
it
I
works.
Yeah,
is-
Trump's
the way I
stuck with
understand it is,
80% of the
let's say you
coin.
let's just say there's like 100 of these coins. You only put out like 50 or 60 into the market. Everyone buys in, and then you're still holding 40. You then introduce those 40 into the market. The shares go down, so that it's devalued.
Right.
It's like technically devalued.
Yeah,
but,
I
like,
understand that
not
part.
really, 'cause
but
you
the
made
shares
all the
are
money.
shit. Yeah, but the shares
You
are
made
shit
all the
now.
money.
Well, no. The shares are shit now before Donald Trump can even sell.
Yeah,
the shares are
he
not
still
shit.
owns 80% of the coin.
Hold on,
Yeah, so that's not a rug pull
look it
then.
up. But that no.
Well, no, it was a
No,
rug
no,
pull because a developer who was paid in coin, obviously, it says the link to the developer's wallet. He had like $2 million worth or something like. Or hold on, let me look at it again.
Yeah, but that's not necessarily a rug pull by Donald Trump if he owns 80% of it still.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's not. You don't understand. He's not just making money off the value of the coins. He's
I do
mainly
understand-
making money off of,
Look, it's either a
he's
rug
mainly
pull
making
or
money
it's
off of
not.
the
Yeah, all right.
liquidity
So
pool
here we go.
fees, which he gets no
A
matter what happens to the price of the stock. That's what he's making.
Received, and it looks like it's a developer, received 2% of the entire supply. Trump still owns 80% of the supply. That seller dumped
that's
their
not-
full 2%
That's not what I just said. What I just said was that he's making money off liquidity pool fees, which aren't linked to the price of the stock at all. Just if there's any
It's not a
transaction
stock.
happening at all, he's making like $36 million
But
just
it's
off
not a
the
stock.
liquidity pool fees.
Like I don't know if that's.
Wait, that is hold on, that is true.
Looks like you
but
made
it's-
100 million in trading fees.
I mean,
already.
that's
yeah, but that
I
keep in
didn't
mind,
learn
like,
this from
that's the
this.
high
I
end.
learned this from the other girl. What's her name?
The Hatua.
She did her own.
Yeah.
She made her
Hatua
money
coin.
off of liquidity pool fees, not
Off-
so much the
Well,
value.
just,
of
hold on,
the
but her pool fees were extraordinarily high, right?
Yeah,
so like,
sure.
And they all
much
went to
higher
one
percentage of
person.
her- yeah, a much higher percentage of her. Like when you look at the percentages, it was pretty whack. But
We're all
on this
happy
one,
for
on this one, like there's a huge
reports
there's,
are
there's
like
a huge
the initial
rift between 100 million and the claimed.
Yeah,
what,
I can
56 billion. That the
I can
coin
build
is
a
being-
bridge here. Like he didn't make the billions that the initial reports like were predicting
Yeah.
that he was going to make, but he did make like tens of millions, potentially hundreds of millions off
Sure.
of the rug pull. So like, yeah, I mean the project itself
That's
made
not good.
$350 million. How much of that went directly into his pocket? I don't know,
The
but
president
that's what
shouldn't
it
be
made.
doing that. Is the
Yeah,
point? Like you shouldn't
that's
have a
right.
president who's doing that.
Jimmy
to
Carter had to
its- to
sell
its-
his
to our
peak farm.
civilians.
The Constitution
Melania-
specifically
it
has
was
a
if we had-
ban on this kind of activity. It's just we don't.
And the
have
Melania
a
coin is
court
worse.
system that's
And
going to-
Melania coin is owned by the Trump family. Yeah, like the
And by the way,
Melania coin-
apparently there's a Baron coin, and it turns out he
And
has nothing
Baron
to do
coin-
with it.
Buy the Baron
Yeah.
coin.
No. Yes, he has nothing to do with it. He went on Twitter
Yeah,
and said
that's fine.
like somebody just stole my name and made it a meme coin.
Yeah,
Yeah,
this-
sure,
this-
but like, but why? Because
He hates
they
that.
know that if you
He
use
hates
the
when
name, that
this
people are
came
going to
from
invest
Don't worry
regardless.
about the why, guys.
I mean,
This-
right now,
the point
right
is,
now, but
if you're going to, I'm not saying it's investment advice, but if I were to invest in a meme coin, guys, Baron.
Oh my
You
God.
know? But like, it's
Not
just, like, it
financial
just
advice,
speaks-
please. Oh
It
God.
just speaks.
Well,
to
I'm just
the
saying
character
if-
of, like,
Don't ever
Trump.
buy.
If you
Don't
lose
ever
money
buy a
on
meme
that
coin.
investment,
You
gotta
don't
get
buy meme coins. You get what you get. They're all going to be pulled. That's the entire
Well,
purpose of a
Yeah, but
meme
wouldn't
hold
it
on.
coin.
speak to the character of the president?
yeah.
And the
having
pre-
been-
hold
he's
on.
part of a coin that's
The
willing to be told
president.
it's a meme coin?
The president. All right. The president lent his name to something. Was given 80% of it. Okay.
Lend
Bro,
his
you guys
name.
will cover for anything.
You know?
It's like, hold on.
Well, that's
If he
literally
lent his
what it is. All right, and now they're saying,
he
hold
lent
on.
his
They
name to a
actually are
pyramid
saying
scheme.
they're trying to point the finger since they can't point the finger at Trump himself because apparently he
Well, they can.
was.
We can't point the finger
He's
at
the
Trump on
face
Trump
of
coin.
the
So
coin.
apparently
I don't care if it's a
hold on
different
this
person.
this
The
investigator
The shit coin's pretty bad.
the
president-
the
it's
thing
just
was
pretty bad, Blackdoid.
it says that
like Grid make his point. Go ahead, Grid.
yeah it apparently says that the guy whose wallet was linked to the sell off of the 2% is now pointing the finger actually at Barron. Says the only person to have the keys is BT. I guess that's I don't know what that means in meme coin language.
What does any of this matter?
Yeah, so Grid.
You would tweet it
If-
out, "Hey, buy my coin," and then
Grid.
everyone bought his coin.
If Trump, because Trump licenses his name all the time. This is a big thing he
Yeah.
does, right? Most of the Trump hotels are just like Trump licensed hotels. The Trump name is attached to it. But okay, so if he did the same thing to a straight up pyramid scheme, right? And he understood it was a scam. He understood exactly what it is. And he licensed his name.
Well,
to where it's
that's a big
Um,
assumption.
That is the assumption.
Hold on, but Trump has been critical of the coins previously, of crypto previously,
Sure.
right? We have statements from
Yeah.
Trump saying that like crypto is
Sure.
a scam. Like so we
Okay.
can look at
Yeah.
those statements. So in any case, right? So if he does that with full knowledge, right, and then
Well, hold on. Full knowledge of what?
That is a scam.
that's a scam. That's a scam. Yeah.
Well, what if he
That's
was
what I said.
assured by somebody who's a legend in Bitcoin that this is not a scam?
Oh, hold on. Someone can say that, but we can understand that a person like knows otherwise. So you can just like make
No,
a
you can
statement, but a person
assume.
should
You
know-
can no
But
no
he-
wordplay
but
here.
he
You
literally
can make an
said he already
assumption.
stated it previously, but I don't have to
You're
make
assuming
assumption.
we have.
He already stated
there's
it.
Context.
When
Already-
did he say? When did he say? I knew it was a scam.
That crypto is a scam. We can
No,
look it
no.
up. He has
When he
statements.
said my coin is a scam.
He doesn't have to say
I,
that. Sorry,
yeah, I
that's
don't
not
like.
how.
I'm not playing
That's
that
not how
game
that
with that
works.
standard.
All
That's
scammers
not how
think
that
it's a
works.
You would not.
scam.
You wouldn't
That's how it
hold Joe
works.
It is
Biden
true
to that
though.
standard.
It
I
is
would.
true
I would.
that Trump
This is
will
how this
often
works.
lean on perceptions of his own being an idiot,
Hunter
to get
Biden
out of stuff, right?
coin. If he did that, you would not get. You would not. Did he say he knew it was a scam? You wouldn't play this game.
So
Sorry, what are you going to say?
oh, hold on,
before
Trump.
you
I
go?
mean, hold
When
on.
you have
Trump.
breaking
Michael, what are you
news.
going to
Trump
say?
literally
We
came
know
to
that
the
there are
crypto
more people
convention.
than just
I was
Fine,
there.
Bitcoin.
My friends met him.
One second. Hold on, one second. Aiko,
To the
you're jumping
moon.
in. Go ahead. Aiko, say your thing and you can respond.
just
Go.
we know that Trump, not just Trump, but there are a lot of people who will do this, who will rely on their reputation as being an idiot to get them out of all kinds of like culpability, right? Is that, oh, people perceive me as an idiot, so I can do all of these things, and just then people will just cover
No
for
one will
me
give me
by
responsibility.
saying, yeah, I'm an idiot, I don't know that it's a scam. But that's not how it works, especially when you're talking about culpability.
Well, I
in
didn't
point of
say
law.
that.
He-
I didn't. I'm saying that it's
because I
a
wouldn't
mistake to make the
allow that. Yeah.
assumption that he knew it was a scam. I think that that's a and the fact that he said
He thinks
crypto in the
crypto is
past
a
was a
The
scam.
scam
assumption that
is
he's
also
not
a big
that
assumption
stupid is-
because
is
he was
not
at the
necessarily
crypto
bad.
convention where he talked to all of the crypto people
Recently.
at length.
Recently, yeah.
Yeah, well, you don't think
Recently.
people's
But in
opinions
the
can change
past, he said
sociologic?
crypto was a
I
scam.
can only hear
You don't
one.
think, hold on, wait, hold on. Those two are not like, all right, I listen, I get it. I get y'all don't like Trump. But the statement, I think crypto's a scam, right? Okay, is not the same as my meme coin is a scam, right? And I'll tell you why, right? So if I go, and I've been saying, I've advocated many times that I don't really like investing in crypto. I think it's too volatile, right? It's not my style of investment, except my Bitcoin. Anyway, but we're going to sit here and go, hey, I go to the crypto convention. And I talk to all these industry leaders, and they go, Gibbs, let me tell you about this. They tell me all the goodies, all the stuff, and they're very convincing. So I invest all of my stuff in some coins. And then, all right, cool, whatever. Shit happens. We have Gibbs coin. It comes out, and they've bamboozled me with all their knowledge into thinking, okay,
Yeah, so you shouldn't be president.
But whatever, sure, like whatever.
Was
Hold on.
Hunter's
Anybody that's
artwork
ever made a
worth?
bad investment shouldn't be president? Is that what you're saying?
What?
I think
Wait,
if you're
so Hunter's
what you
artwork
said?
was worth 500K each.
Anybody that's ever made a bad investment shouldn't be president. Yes
No,
or no?
I think if you're the president, I think in the past, if you say crypto is a scam, then you go to a convention and all these bigwigs convince you that crypto isn't a scam, and then your crypto is a scam. I think you shouldn't.
Well, let's look at that timeline for a second there, Sociologic. Let's look at that
Just to be clear,
timeline.
he said, and this was right after a Bitcoin crash in 2021. He said it seems like a scam. Like that was the statement, and
also said the crypto is a disaster waiting to happen.
When was that?
In 21,
I'm getting it right
because
now.
the overall like American attitudes towards crypto has
Trump,
changed pretty dramatically.
this is from the Fox News article. Trump warns crypto potentially disaster
Yeah,
waiting
but
to happen.
hold on. People's opinions can
what year was
change.
this?
Like imagine how many Christians
2021.
go, "Oh, Christianity's a
22.
scam." Then become
Yeah.
Christian. How many people are like Muslims now? They're like religion's a scam, and now they're like,
you know what we call them? We call them grifters. We call Nala
call
a
them-
grifter. We call Sneeko
we call
a
them
grifter.
convert.
We call
Convert.
Tate a grifter.
Nala is a nice lady. Nala is a nice lady.
Nala's a
She's
grifter.
come to
Tate is
Jesus.
a grifter. Sneeko's a grifter. Everyone that does the whole religious, the whole
No,
fucking
you say
OF
anybody
thought
that ever
religious is a
Well, that's
grift. It
bullshit.
is a grift.
So you're saying okay? So
The only
I
person I trust in that is Andrew Wilson. I believe
Hold-
him.
hold on.
I believe him in
No,
his
no,
Christian
no, no, no.
nationalism.
Okay, so hold on. So you're arguing. Listen, I know that you're not a Christian, but this would be like me arguing that Saul, that became Paul, the apostle, is not actually an apostle. He's actually just a grifter. That would be like what you're arguing.
I do think Paul's a grifter. I think Paul's the greatest grifter.
I know.
Paul got tons of demons poured out of him. I ain't seen
Paul is the greatest of
Trump get demons poured out of him.
Yeah, Paul.
So there. So I'm looking at a. I'm looking at a Fox
People
News
got
article.
people, not out of him.
I'm looking at a Fox News article, and it does a very good job of reporting this. It says former President Trump warned on Tuesday that investing in cryptocurrencies is "quote unquote" potentially a disaster waiting to happen. Trump said he is "quote unquote" not a big fan of cryptocurrencies during an exclusive interview on Barney & Company Tuesday night, noting that he does not invest in Bitcoin and other digital currencies. "Quote, I like the currency of the United States, end quote, Trump said to Stuart Varney. He argued that investing in cryptocurrencies, quote, hurts the United States currency and, quote, we should be invested in our currency. Trump's attacks on cryptos was the second made by the former president on Fox Business as Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies remain unregulated in the United States. In June, Trump told Varney that Bitcoin seems like a quote scam, and the euphoria surrounding the world's largest cryptocurrency is watering down the US dollar. Quote, the currency of this world should be the dollar.
Yeah, he said all those things.
And I don't think we should have all of the Bitcoins of the world out there. But now he's doing a reserve. Interesting. I think they should regulate them very, very high. End quote. Trump told Varney at the time, adding, quote, it takes the edge off the dollar and the importance of the dollar. On Tuesday, Trump said cryptocurrencies, quote, may be fake.
Yes,
I don't know how many times, like it goes down and down. And he's very clear as to what he's saying, right? About cryptocurrencies.
When was the article written?
2021. Hold on, I'll find it.
2021.
In 2021, he's highly skeptical.
4 years ago.
He's highly skeptical.
Yeah, it's August 31st,
2025. He has a rug pull.
Yeah, it's 2021, and he's like, hey, I don't know about this stuff. I think it might be a scam. And then
in
he spent 2 years figuring it out, and he comes back and he's like, "Hey, this."
And then he commits the scam. Yeah, exactly. Got it.
He realizes it's a scam.
No, that's a massive assumption on you. This is the best amount of cope I've ever seen. Let me ask you something. If you want me to believe that Trump actually scammed people, was Hunter Biden's artwork worth $500K each?
No, bro, I'm not a Biden guy. Don't talk to me.
I wasn't even talking to you, sociologically.
Let's say it was a scam. Hold on. Yeah, sure, it was a scam. Absolutely. But we can move on. Now we can talk about Trump's scam. Go ahead. No one gives a fuck about Hunter Biden here.
I don't believe it's a scam.
Right? So, yeah, no, it's a scam. No, sure.
I don't believe it's a scam.
Hunter Biden's art's a scam. George W. Bush's paintings are a scam. Right? They're not worth anything.
Bush's paintings are probably not a scam.
Yeah, what? Yeah,
Bush is what? I'm sorry, I didn't hear that part. Bush is what?
Being in charge was a scam.
Yes.
Sure. Well, now that we've established all that, hold on. Now we've established all that. Now we can circle back to the topic and talk about Trump's scam, right? So yes, I've given you a whole list of quotes, right, where he made extremely clear that he understands how cryptocurrencies work. Right?
4 years earlier,
and then I know exactly one, but he's not the only one who does this, right? So we have exactly. Sure.
I've never changed my mind on anything.
Hold on. We have a whole list of celebrities doing exactly this, right? If you follow CoffeeZilla, I'm not sure if you've ever seen this channel before. If you follow CoffeeZilla, there's a whole list of these individuals who, like, at first say they understand that this is a scam until they're offered the money for the scam, and then they do it, right? Kanye West said, like, specifically, he thought it was a scam, and then he got offered the money, and then he did the scam, right? Adam 22,
that was
he said he thought it was a scam, and then after he got offered the money, right, then he did the scam. Like, we can understand this. Now he got brought into the grift, right? Under the money was going into his pocket, not someone else's pocket. Then all of a sudden his tune changes. We can understand this. Let's not pretend we're children here.
Yeah, I don't understand. I don't understand the caping grid. Like, the guy thought it was a scam before. Fine, 4 years ago he thought it was a scam. Understood. Sure. But there's only two options here. Either he knew it was a scam going forward in 2025, or he's so ignorant that the people around him.
Why does he have to be ignorant? Why does he have to be ignorant? You've never been convinced of something that you shouldn't do.
Why he has to be ignorant to make that decision?
Why are you coping so hard, bro?
Let me finish.
Why are you seriously? This is the most amount of cope I've ever seen.
Hold on.
This is literally the most amount. Why is it that it can't be both things?
You're asking him a question. Let him answer the question. Go ahead.
There's two options. Either he knew of the.
No, there's not two options. There's more.
Oh my God, my statement's going to be finished. Anyways, there's two options.
I know.
My statement, two options.
Why are there two options?
It's my statement. It's my hypothetical. You engage or you don't know how to engage. Anyways, either he.
But it's not a hypothetical.
Great. I'm going to mute you.
It's a grift going into 2025, right?
Reject the premises.
Or you're saying the guy is so ignorant that he thought it was a grift before, or thought it was a scam before, and then 4 years later got convinced into signing his name onto a scam. Which one is it?
I'm trying to figure out why you think that just because someone says something once they can't change their mind, and also at the same time that they can't be, someone can't say, hey, this is what we're going to do and it's going to work and it will be different this time, and that person who's a smart person say, yeah, okay, sounds good, let's do it, let's make it happen.
Sorry, we don't have to. Sorry, we don't have to focus on your intentions. We can actually focus on the actions, right? Like, so we don't have to try to mind read him. One, we can just look at his statements, right, and then we can go from there. So there's that, the statements he's actually said, right? So there's that, and then two, following those statements, years later, he actually does the scam. Then he actually does the rug pull. So we don't have to like go into his mind. We don't have to like make all these decisions. You don't have to make statements about his intentions that you don't know. That we don't have to do the same thing either, right? We can just look at the actual actions, the words, the statements, and then what followed from there. Correct?
If any other president did this,
we don't have to guess.
Like Democrat
hold on. I would like to bring it. That's perfect segue. Hold on. I'm sorry. I'm jumping in.
All right.
This is a perfect segue into what I want to say. If any other president did this, I'm really glad you made that statement, because, a great American once told me 2 half-nothings is a whole lot of nothing, right? And that great American was Foghorn Leghorn. So you can take it home, put it in your pocketbook, all right? And when I hear this now, it's really rich to me whenever I've seen the reports coming out today about how the Biden presidency, the guy didn't even know where he was at. They used an auto signature. And these people on the left were so moral and so upright. They were supporting this decrepit, mold, shell of a human being.
Yeah, the left
as
is filled with idiots.
And perpetuated possibly the biggest scam of all time on the American people by, trying to convince us this man was even mentally fit to walk, much less be president.
Are we still talking about Biden?
Hold on. I'm not finished. And then they want us to turn around and be a Republican to give 2 fucks about Trump making some money on a reputed scam. Oh no, the meme coin, bitch! You just put a dead body in office,
and he ran an excellent presidency.
Let me finish. I got one done. Hold on, let me finish. I got one sentence. Y'all want me to sit here and give 2 flying fucks about what some idiots did and buying a meme coin, and then y'all want us to care about that at all? I want you to know the average American doesn't give 2 fucks about this. And then when y'all whine and bitch about this after we find out for the last 4 years the Dems pushed a guy that literally was weekend at Bernie's, we don't care. I'm sorry. This is only a perpetually online.
Are you still here?
And you look pathetic.
Have a 50% return last year.
I just want you to know.
Talk to Lactoid real quick. Lactoid, are you still here?
What happened?
Okay,
you're dropping. Your bits.
Your camera's like really messed up.
I wanted to talk to him if you can hear. I want to, because like when I ask you. Wait, don't.
Yeah. I'm trying to figure something out on my end.
Okay, he's glitching.
We'll get back to you, friend.
No, but I just.
All right, hold on. I want to hear Sociologic's cope. Come on now.
Wait a minute.
It's not a cope, it's a question. I want to talk to Lactoid when he's here.
Sure. When he gets back, clear that up. I just want to say that, I could be. The thing is, I would still think it's a problem. But I could accept that, this is a man with a vision I disagree with. If Donald Trump actually got the Republican Party behind actually cutting spending and doing I don't think even if he wanted to, you could balance the budget, but actually did something to cut spending. If that was actually just a difference in fundamental belief, I could be like, you know what, the deficit is a legitimate problem. Let's figure out let's figure that out. We have different methodologies, but you're doing something, but that's not what he's doing. There is no plan. There is no foundation. Nothing this administration is doing makes any sense at all.
It makes sense to most of us. After his
tell me why is the economy dropping out of the sky?
Hold on, you understand that? I came on these platforms the day after the state of the congressional address, and everybody I watched all day on the left, and then I get a poll. I see polling from CNN and MSNBC, and both of them say on their spot polls, when their audience is predominantly left, it said 76% approval rate. The average Americans like what Trump's doing. I hate the
incorrect on that data.
Is that a spot poll?
They're referencing people who watch. They're referencing specifically people who watch the address, and people that watch the address aren't average American. It's going to overwhelmingly favor.
Everybody's watched the address now at this point.
No, everybody hasn't. Most people haven't actually. Most people don't, especially as late as it was at night. The majority of people didn't tune into the congressional address. The people who
Politics
watched
is
it,
now culture at this point. Like it's like you're arguing that
yes, but we
you're
get that. But
fighting
we get
shadow boxing.
But most people get
You're like
Twitter clips. If you talk to a normie person, no one sat through
you see,
the
if you see 10
96
different
minute
Twitter clips, you've watched
address.
like half the speech.
No, that's not the same thing.
No, it's an hour-long speech. The fuck?
people who watch
It's over an hour long. It's 100 minutes.
Hold
No,
on,
I'm
hold on.
saying
Not
that
all
people
Twitter
who are-
clips are 1 minute long. Some of them are like 2
But
or
I'm
3
saying
It's
that
minutes
100
long.
minutes long.
Yeah,
people
so
who
you got
watch
30
Twitter
minutes and the
clips-
third with 10 clips. Boom.
People who watch Twitter clips aren't factored into that polling. The polling is specifically of people who sat down in front of their televisions to watch it live. He did
Sure,
poll
I agree
really
with
well
that.
among those people. But every president does. Every president polls well because the people who watch it tend to be the people who actually tune in to sit through that, are people who think highly of the president themselves. Trump's actual approval ratings continue to tank. He came in with some of the lowest approval ratings of any incoming president, and has continued to dip time after time. Like, why is if you could tell me why our economy is currently tanking right now?
It's not. It's revving along great, by the way. But thanks.
No,
Yeah.
Tommy Tuberville came out and said that the stock market was too
Tommy
fat.
Tuberville? We're talking about the
He's
coach?
bringing-
Like, what are we talking about here?
He's a senator. So I know it
I know,
sucks,
I'm
but he
joking.
is. But yeah, Tommy Tuberville said that we're bringing down the price of bringing down the price of the stock market to make it affordable for the average American. This is a quote he said. I'm not. This is what he thinks. He says that he said we're bloated and we're bringing it down.
Wait, it's the same Tommy
We're
Tuberville?
reducing stock
Tommy
inflation.
Tuberville, yes. Tommy Tuberville, they used to coach at Auburn, Alabama, is a senator. Yes, that's
Holy
who
shit.
How am I
One of the
coming
worst
through,
senators,
guys?
yeah.
Am I coming through?
Oh,
Yeah,
you're coming
yeah.
through fine now.
Okay,
You're
the
good.
problem was with my
Wait.
OBS for
Yes.
some reason. My OBS
So,
just
Lactoid.
was fucking me over.
Lactoid, I
Yeah,
wanted
they
to
just
ask
did
you,
an
so, like,
update.
you agree that like the rug pull is bad, right? It's it's pretty bad, but it's bad, right?
I think I would prefer, just given where he's at with it, I'd prefer to. I'm not sure he really rug pulled. I would agree it's like a crypto bullshit coin, and I think that anybody who starts a crypto bullshit coin and uses their platform, especially if they're a politician, to like try to make
Especially
money
if
off
they're
that.
president of
I
the
could
United
agree
States.
with that.
Yeah, yes. It's not
Right.
good. It's
And
not
so,
good.
like,
There's
I don't think
definitely worthy of
politicians
criticism.
should endorse
My
coins.
issue is that like there seems to be like a bunch of things that are like, well, that's not good, and then that's not good, and then that's not good, and like, okay, maybe you're a bit more reasonable. I don't think Grid is like has the biggest cape on me. He has a small cape, but then there's Gibbs, right? Who is like
There's
who
no
has the
cape
full
here,
Superman
dude.
costume, who has the full Superman costume on, and so it's like this is like the surroundings, right? And sometimes I feel like the people that are reasonable are kind of being convinced by the Gibbses, right? And it's like you're just kind of going along for the ride, and it's like I'm kind of worried that like we excuse him for everything until everything collapses, and then when everything collapses, we're fucked and we don't know what to do.
I think what it is look, maybe I think Gibbs has a very mask off kind of philosophy on things. He's got like a very interesting perspective when it comes to just his perspective on how to deal with politics. You can be critical of somebody though and still say, well, overall, like here are some good things that they've done, and here are overall, I think that like they're a benefit. And I've said that from the very beginning, right? Even back when I decided to vote for Trump, I said that I'm not going to stop criticizing him, and there's always things you're going to be able to point out that are fucked. And I even said like this meme coin, I think, really left the taste of shit in my mouth just prior to the election. I mean, it was really, or just prior to the.
I honestly hadn't paid any
Also-
attention to him.
Also, the reason why the Gibbses are convincing sociologic is because the Gibbses are right. And we keep end up being right repeatedly. That's why we're convincing. Eventually, people go, "Hey, maybe we should listen to the guy that keeps ending up being right," and then suddenly,
Actually,
we
if you want me to ask, in this whole thing, I think the people who don't make a fan or who don't become fans or like super fans of like a president and just actually hold him as like it's a job that he's doing and don't become fanatic over him, I think they're the ones who are right. That's kind of my issue with like the MAGA thing. Is that it seems that like there's a bunch of things that we could talk about, and if like it doesn't have to be that he's a completely wrong, but anytime you say anything about Trump, it becomes no, he's right. There's a plan. There's 4D chess. You got to wait till 10 years in the future. You don't know the guy. You don't know Elon. You're not as smart. All these capes start coming out. It's like, yo, can we just have a real conversation? Because I'm not a leftist. I haven't been pro Biden. I'm not like a Democrat guy. and so it's like I feel like I sit like right in the middle, and it feels like everyone on the right is kind of going as extreme as everyone on the left, and it's just like that is one. I don't think it's good. I don't think like a country being this divided is good. I don't think us having a conversation about whether or not, like, I don't think half the country reeing and spurring about like the guy potentially becoming dictator or being like tyrannical is a good thing. It's not good
That's
to
reasonable.
have this type of shit within the country. And so it's like I want to have reasonable conversations, but it's always a defense. And it's like, hey, we can like Lacto, to your point, you're a bit more critical, right, than the average like MAGA. But like then it's like you talk to people and they're like, no, I'm invested in the coins. You don't even know, you stupid fucks. Wait for 4 years. It's like, come on, man.
yeah, no, for sure.
Come
And
on.
there's always people who, like, for me, there's like you do run into the people that I think are kind of like crazy, right? Like,
Fanatic.
yeah, especially when it came to some people saying, yeah, Trump should just ignore the Supreme Court, fuck the Supreme Court. Like, those people scare me. There's no doubt, right? I do think though there's a lot of people that hold Trump to this very high standard, beyond what they'd ever hold to any other president at, because they really just hate the guy, and then they'll take something that he does that's like suboptimal, and then they'll dress it up like this is like the worst thing in the world, and they'll use that to attack him. Like, I don't know. I think the budget. I've been, ultimately going back to what Bam was saying. Like, what have I liked about this? I think the budget had some really good things about it.
You think he's going to make the spending, the spending
cuts
necessary to like he's going to cut $1 trillion out of?
But hopefully, I mean, that's what's in the bill, right? The bill has spending cuts in it, and
but
he's going to continue the tax cuts, which I think are also good. I
but
think
they were
his activities on Ukraine have been very good.
Sure, like let's deal with the budget right there. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, I could accept it if it was like, oh, okay, there's a plan and a philosophy, and they act. But like the way the budget works, the only way you could possibly make that work, and you need 60 votes, regardless. The only way you could possibly make the spending cuts.
Not for a budget.
Yeah, I think you still need 60.
No, I don't know. I don't know. I don't think you need a
for reconciliation. You might be able to do it 51, but to pass a new budget, you need 60.
I could be wrong. I don't think that's the case. I'm pretty sure there's exceptions.
No.
Yeah, just look it up. But
you could pass with 51, but it's going to be filibustered because that's the way we operate.
No. I don't think you can filibuster. Hold on 1 second.
Okay.
Because even Republicans were coming out and like, this is a budget. A budget has to be like a new continuing reconciliation. It can be done with 51. But I think if you want to create a new budget, you need 60 votes. That has to be that a budget has to be bipartisan. And while someone's looking that up to confirm, like,
I don't think it's true, but I don't know.
The only way you get to the trillion in cuts is to deal with is to make cuts towards Medicaid and Medicare. And Donald Trump is something out saying that he's going to cut $1 trillion, but he's also promising that he's not going to make any cuts towards Medicaid, Medicare, and Social Security. These three positions are impossible to hold simultaneously. Because his argument is, he said he's going to outgrow it. He's like, we're just going to outgrow the debt.
Hold on. So if budget reconciliation doesn't need a 60 votes, couldn't they just do the spending cuts with that?
No, I think a reconciliation continuation is just basically we're agreeing to the same money as prior. We're not making any changes or any massive changes. I think a new budget requires 60 votes.
Well, so the 2017 Tax Cuts and Jobs Act passed with 51 votes.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean that cut taxes, right?
Let's see.
While you two are looking that up, yeah, Milani coins also is a scam. I put that in the group DM. Like the money, the rug pull, right, happens within the first few hours of the initial offering. And then from there, it just drops like a rock. That's where the money is made, and then any other money additionally on transactions happens. But clear and literally the people who did the Melania coin, right, also did the Javier Libra coin down in
Argentina
or Argentina. Excuse me. Thank you so much. Argentina. Like literally the same team did that. These are scams that are happening. And then furthermore, right, it's another way to funnel money towards Trump, right? Because you have these coins, you can just funnel money towards Trump. If you're A person who wants a favor, right? A good way is just to buy the coin. Just buy the coin. Like another investment that puts money in his pocket. That's how you can get favors
It's
from
also
Trump,
a way
right?
to launder money from specifically places like Russia, where the money is traceable to things that are like not so good, and you can put them through here.
Well, all
It makes it
Bitcoin, all electronic
impossible to
currency is
trace.
traceable, 100%.
Well, no, but what I mean is,
Mm.
no one. If you're making a serious investment into, say, for instance, those Russian oligarchs that were paying 2 to 3 times the market rate for Trump properties that they were buying, that might be a little bit more risky. But if you put it into a meme coin, it's far less likely to be investigated. Especially now, when the DOJ is under control of of this particular White House, no one's going to investigate anybody who's buying Trump meme coins.
Okay, I'm looking at an NPR article now on why they're going with reconciliation, and they're saying that they're extending more time because they, like, for a full budget, they would need 60 votes.
Yeah, but you can use reconciliation bills to cut spending.
But
So I mean,
it
they
doesn't seem
can do
the type of
this.
cuts that they want to do. They can. It doesn't seem that's possible.
Well, no, you can cut mandatory spending with a budget reconciliation. You can cut
But
it.
it doesn't, for some reason, what Trump wants to do can't be done via reconciliation.
I don't think that's true.
I'm just reading the article. That's the reason why.
The article says that he can't do
Yes,
spending
that's
cuts.
yes. Well, that's what we're doing now is just a continuing resolution. We're keeping this funding exactly where it is now. Like if they could cut them before, they would have already done it.
I posted.
Well, and also you can't start.
I posted. This is from the Wharton, and they're saying that in the 2025 House budget reconciliation includes budget reconciliation instructions calling for 1.7 trillion in net spending cuts.
Yeah,
the House can do that. Bills that start in the House are able to go through reconciliation because the House controls the purse. You can't start it in the Senate. I think that's part of what Bam's talking about, if he's talking about the Senate.
No, but with reconciliation, you only need 51 votes in the Senate.
Mm-hmm. But it has to start in the House and then go to the Senate. They can't start in the
Well,
Senate.
but that's all spending bills. But we can do, like, the Republicans have both the House and the Senate, so they can do that.
Yeah, I don't think that's the case.
Because if it starts in the House.
I'm about to say every politician has came out and said that they can't do this without 60 votes.
Well, no,
can't do what?
I'll read this thing. I'm pretty sure the concern in this NPR article, and I've seen other concerns about this, is they might not be able to get 51 Republicans on board with some of the spending plans and cuts that they have.
No, it's not even 51. They're talking about 60. They're saying that they need Democrats. It has to be bipartisan.
Where does it says
at
60?
the last article? Last paragraph.
Yeah, I mean that's not true. Like,
what is the parliamentarians ruling?
There might have been things in that bill that the parliamentarian ruled is not budget related, and therefore can't be part of the deal. But that doesn't mean no bill can pass.
No, I didn't say no bill.
Do a CR.
No.
Like, it's not true that they have to do a CR. But it might be that nothing beyond a CR will pass, especially the House, right? Because it would only take 2 Republicans to stop that from happening.
Yeah. Did Bam said, and maybe I missed it, that they have to pass continuing resolution? I think he's talking about the rules as to. I mean, did you say that, Bam? That it has to be.
So is it a simple majority or a super majority or what? Because I think
simple majority is 6. Simple majority.
Somebody's saying it's a simple majority.
Yeah, simple majority, but it's
for some reason
50 plus 1 would be a simple majority. So
simple, yeah, 50 plus 1, 51. Yeah, that's what I said.
51.
Well, okay.
Yeah,
it would be like a 50-50 tie, and then Vance comes in and breaks the tie.
Yeah,
just to be clear.
Let's see.
What I'm confused about is that you for sure can use budget reconciliation to make like massive spending cuts, including things like Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security, like stuff like that.
I don't know. They disagree for some
reason.
I
don't know. I can't really adjudicate
this. There's tons because I'm sending more and more articles related to it on why like this can be done now, but what they're gonna need is anyways. Past that point, there doesn't like. If Donald Trump came out of the face of the Republican Party and said that, you know what, we're doing it for the good of the future, we're making cuts to Medicaid, Medicare, and Social Security. One, the House and Senate, like the Republicans would lose tons of seats. They just would. But I would I would be frustrated, but I would respect that there's a solid philosophy. You understand what actually has to be subtracted to hit that $1 trillion number of savings, or if you actually want to make any dents into the deficit. But don't continue to talk about the deficit when what's the tax cuts, whenever they do pass, are going to add $2 trillion to the deficit as part of what exists right now in the best case scenario. Like, don't continue to deficit spend and make the claims that
Well,
you're
he
the
also
part.
ran on not touching Social Security and Medicare. So if he turns
Well,
around,
it's coming from Medicaid. Yeah, it's not gonna. I don't think it's gonna touch Medicare or Social Security. But
Yeah,
when
'cause
it
we're
comes
not gonna
to
vote.
the deficit, I mean, yeah, I agree. The deficit is a problem for sure. The deficit, in my opinion, is just delayed taxation. And I think that the fact that spending is getting cut is a kind of a step in the right direction. I would like to see spending cut even more, for sure. But if we're seeing spending cuts and tax cuts, I think this is overall is a step in the right direction, even if it leads to a little bit more deficit
How's that step in the right direction?
because you're cutting spending as well.
Yes, but you're only cutting spending to pay for the tax cuts, and it's not even going to pay for all of the tax cuts.
Right.
Like, it would be one thing if that cut in spending actually went towards attacking the deficit, but we're not attacking the deficit. We're cutting spending just for the sake
So
of tax
the tax cuts themselves, just to be clear, the vast
Right.
majority of that is simply
The
an
goal is to
extension
increase
of it's just an extension of the Tax Cuts and Jobs
the
Act, which is
2017,
what has been around since 2017.
By the way,
Um,
recently
and
Donald
then
Trump also promised that he wouldn't cut Medicaid.
Yeah, he did.
okay, maybe.
He did say
But
that. Yeah.
I'll look into it. But he also brought up like the no tax on tips and the no tax on overtime and Social Security stuff
No
like
tax
that.
on tips is good. It's probably not going to impact that many people, but it's like it's like a minuscule portion of our total tax revenue.
Well, I'm just saying, like, those are the other
Mhm.
things that Trump is like advocating for being like included.
Well,
Nobody
removing
reports
income
Part
tax
of
from
this
Social
bill.
Security, removing income
Social Security income tax as well. Yeah.
yeah.
So I mean, there's definitely like
There
there's
are
some
things.
ideas here, and so for me, somebody who wants to shrink the size of government and shrink how much they're taking from us, I think that tax cuts are a good thing. I agree that
Yeah.
less spending is a good thing, and I agree that having a balanced budget is a good thing. Right now, I'm getting 2 out of my 3, right? And so, is it overall a good thing? It is. Would I like to see even more spending cuts? I would, but the problem is you can't get that many moderate Republicans on board with it, right? I mean, if you try to cut, because you would have to cut like Medicare or Medicaid or Social Security, you probably have to cut that a few trillion if you wanted to actually get this to be budget neutral in terms of like specifically the deficit. And there's no way you're going to get moderate Republicans on board with that.
Like I said, I knew you're not gonna. Like I said, his kind of talk of balancing the budget. I was like I said, that's impossible. Well, it's not impossible, but he's not gonna do that. But it would be something if he actually did decrease spending, but he's not decreasing spending
He is decreasing spending
to pay for tax cuts, though. We're not cutting
It
spending.
doesn't,
From any other
it
means.
doesn't matter. Overall spending is going to be cut.
Yes, but
by a significant degree, almost 2 trillion, which is a lot of fucking money.
For tax cuts.
I don't think
which
he's gonna hit
is
2
a good thing. Tax cuts are a good thing. I would like to see more spending cuts
So,
to have even more.
how would you solve the problem, Bam? I mean, you guys keep going back and forth. What would you like to see?
Well, like I said, I do believe that something needs to be done to the deficit. If I'm in Trump's shoes, if I'm speaking from someone who is I guess a deficit hawk, I would, like I said, I would own it. I would say that, oh, okay, like we're not, like, we don't have a future to be able to do these things without making significant changes. One, I remove the cap on Social Security for how much people pay into it, so that people can be actually properly taxed for it, because we want to continue to fund that on into the future. I would and in the between time, I probably wouldn't start with cuts towards Social Security. I'd most likely start with, yeah, I guess, yeah, it would have to be Medicaid. I would have to make quick cuts towards Medicaid, some quick cuts towards Medicare. I don't think what Doge is doing is creating any significant revenue. But I would talk to I would actually try, instead of becoming isolationist, I would actually be trying to extend our relationships, like trying to expand on our relationships with Mexico and Canada, because we do need to increase the revenue we take into the United States, and not be it through tariffs. Tariffs isn't actually generating. I think the entire first administration's tariffing plan brought in 50 billion total, and I think almost all of that had to be paid out to farmers and subsidies because we crippled them. through the Farmers Act. So yeah, I think you have to figure out how to actually increase revenue to the federal government, and you have to make hard, legitimate cuts and be honest with the American people about it.
Right.
Trump-
I
Trump
agree
didn't
with
get
that. You to make hard, legitimate cuts, but the problem is, again, there's so many political interests at play that I think are going to make that almost impossible. You cannot get 51 Republicans on board with the kind of cuts that you need to make to Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid in order to actually affect, like, in order to get like really where we need to be in terms of a budget surplus. Because I mean, the deficit is a real big issue for sure. But another big issue is how much we're taxed, and another big issue is how much we spend. I mean, like, am I getting everything that I want? Of course not. Am I getting some of what I want? Yeah. I think this budget is much better. Like having more spending cuts and tax cuts is much better than the alternative, which would be like more spending. I mean, that would be horrible. And that's what I think a Kamala Harris presidency would have given us. I mean, that's what we saw with Biden.
Biden, about to say the
We
Biden
we've done it.
president outside
We've
of
done it
the-
before. We've balanced the budget before, and it was it
Bill
was
Clinton, but that was because of the economy growing.
that was in part the economy growing, and in part he keep in mind that he ran in '92 on readjusting taxes, and he did. He raised the taxes. We were told by the Republican Party in '93 and '94, when all that stuff was being implemented, that the result of that would be an explosion of the national debt, and instead he raised taxes and balanced the budget at the same time.
Well, he
Second
also
thing we
cut
can
welfare.
Yeah, I would have listened to Tax and
so
Jobs
let's go
Act
back to
not fall off.
well, first of all,
Taxes should have increased.
what he did with welfare is different. What he did
He
was
definitely
he
cut
changed
it.
welfare. He changed welfare to where instead of cutting like checks to people where they would just get cash, he would give them things like food stamps. He would give them things like medical care. He would give them
Overall spending went down pretty
goods that would
dramatically.
help
He also fired 400,000 federal employees.
We've had the same number of federal employees for pretty much every
Yeah,
point in
here's
the
what you
history of the
do.
United States.
That's the number one thing you do.
Hold,
is you
hold
go
on,
back
that
to
can't.
the-
No, come on. That's disingenuous.
It is. In
You go back to
1960, we had like
hold on.
3 million. Today
You
we
go
have like,
back to the Clinton tax proposals. You go back to those, and then if also there are things that you can do to in order to like rein in spending further. I think one of the things that it's kind of just left my head what it was that I was going to talk about. But if you went back to the Clinton taxes, even go back to the Reagan taxes, you would get a significant increase in federal income that would be able to pay for a lot of these programs.
You'd probably get some. The problem, like, we did luck out in the '90s when it came to our GDP growth. It was due to a variety of factors, including the explosion of the use of computers and the internet, but also the collapse of the Soviet Union and the opening of those markets into the global sphere. So there was a lot of reasons why we were able to sort of weather the storm. But empirically speaking, taxes do lower GDP growth. It seems like there's this weird world that we're living in now where both sides are just like have this cognitive dissonance where you have the left say things like tariffs are bad because they're taxes. But then they'll support, but I like taxes, even though.
No, tariffs are bad because they're regressive taxes, right? They're taxes on consumers.
Both tariffs.
It's people in the middle class who pay that, as opposed to people
even
upper class.
I'm talking about when you look at like effect on GDP, like income taxes do all the same economists.
You want to put a tariff on like
all the same economists that are saying this, but tariffs also say this about
that.
Yeah,
but tariff on yachts,
sure, but the
that's not regressive.
The income taxes aren't just on like yachts. I know there's arguments for like specific luxury taxes. I guess that's like a different discussion we can have. But the people who are advocating for increased income taxes are saying things like tariffs are bad for the economy and lower GDP, which they do. And then you have people in favor of tariffs who are also opposed to taxation.
Well, even income taxes can be more
double
regressive
standard,
than
I think.
other options. Like a wealth tax would be the least regressive tax. But the
why is it that every other nation manages to have taxes or tariffs, on goods that we send there, which hurts our country? But we decide not to put tariffs on goods that come here.
It hurts them.
It hurts them.
That's the problem. They're making mistakes that we're now replicating. Now we want to make the same mistakes that they're making.
How does it hurt
They're
them?
Consumers, because it makes things more expensive in their country.
Just like taxes.
If you think inflation's
okay,
bad,
all right. Let me. Okay. Oh, no. I'll accept that premise. I want to give you an example. In the early '80s, Japan did not want to import American cars, so they put a very high tariff on any American car. I think it was like 40 or 50%. So GM, nobody imported cars into Japan. In order for their economy to grow, however, they needed to export a large number of vehicles to the U.S. They did that by making deals with our government where they had no tariffs on their products coming into our country. So it did not hurt them. It hurt us.
Do you want to go through the same experience that Japan had for the last 30 years? Do you want our GDP?
I'm giving you a specific example of where a tariff did exactly what it was supposed to do.
Yeah. No, it did the opposite of what it was supposed to do. It stunted Japan's growth for 30 years. They stopped growing in the 90s, and they haven't,
because they didn't get American cars?
For a variety of reasons, but yeah, their tariff policy, the fact that they weren't embracing free trade is a big part of it. Yeah, 100%.
So,
and also the lack of immigration. That was another big part.
I'm a bit more.
I'm sorry.
I'm a bit more. Well, two things. One, Lactoid. I put in the chat a link to the New York Times talking about when Trump, during an interview, I think it was with Vance there, talking about where Medicaid and Medicare won't be touched. So you can take a look at that link. Beyond that, to Grid, I'm more sympathetic to you, right? And after that, we're going to Bam. I'm more sympathetic to what you're saying.
Why is this archived? It's from 2025.
So we can get past the paywall. That's why
I thank you.
Yeah. That's for your benefit, buddy. I'm looking out for you. But anyway, to Grid. This is I'm more I'm sympathetic, yes, sympathetic to your argument about tariffs being used for protection, right? Basically, you're saying, hey, we want to encourage our citizens to buy our goods, right, from our country to stimulate our economy, right? That's basically what you're trying to get at there. And you're pointing to a situation, and we can look at Japan, but we can look at others. Like I think Germany does something.
Germany did the exact same thing. Canada,
exactly.
Canada has a 40% tax.
Germany is stagnant.
But hold on. But I'm gonna.
They weren't back in the 80s when I was talking about the tariffs.
I'm gonna give your points to you, right? Like yes, you can do that. You can use tariffs like a scalpel to specifically change consumers' behaviors, right, and make it so that they will buy from your domestic companies and encourage the domestic companies to build in your country. So I agree with you there. But that's not why what Trump is doing. Trump is like doing mass tariffs across the board, and then that's not the same, right? And then
are you
does
sure
not give people. Yes, absolutely. He's doing
because what I heard. So what I
made some exceptions.
Did you hear what he said during his speech where he talked about? And I'm picking on cars a little bit because it's just an easy target. Everybody's bought a car, right? So it's just an easy target. Yeah. So he's saying that there'll be no tax on American-built cars, but cars built outside of the country and imported in, there will be. That's so when I go buy a $70,000 truck, I'm going to buy a $70,000 U.S. made truck, so I don't have to pay tax on it, and not a Japanese truck.
You understand, like the logistics of like creating a car, a modern day car, right? That we globalized our supply structure, and because of deals like NAFTA.
Yeah, I understand all that,
right? You know what I'm saying? That we have factories on both sides of the border, the northern border and the southern border, right? And car parts go back and forth across there. Most cars, I'm not sure if there's any U.S. brand that doesn't have parts of that car that are from outside. So that's going to.
I don't believe it was the board. If the alternator's made in Bangladesh, I don't think that that's the problem. What you're talking about is the actual vehicle.
A lot of our car parts.
Ford cars aren't built in America. They still build them in Mexico. I was about to say, if anything, the where the company's like origin doesn't matter. Like we're making Hondas. There's a Honda plant like 30 miles from me.
There's a Nissan plant that's been here forever because of the tariffs that we originally.
But that doesn't make a difference because even if that plant they like do final assembly, right? The fact that parts of the car came from across the border, and they might have crossed the border multiple times. That happens to pieces, right? They go across the border multiple times. There's tariff each and every one time, right?
And
So that massively raises the price. Now,
Are you sure?
Trump,
Yeah.
yes, I'm absolutely positive.
The people in the car industry manufacturers are discussing this issue.
Yeah, but there is something that there's an update on this, right? So Trump, I think this was earlier last week, said that he was going to make an exception for cars, at least either just cars or maybe goods in general that follow the U.S. MCA, right? The United States, Mexico, Canada deal. That like if you were been following that deal, then there'll be an exception there for that. But like that, all of this, the whole process has not been a thought out, planned like use of tariffs in a scalpel like fashion, right? There's been a bulldozer, and it's caused massive business uncertainty across the board.
I've heard all of this for the past 2 weeks, but what it really means to me, honestly, and what I hope that it eventually means to most people that live in America, not Canada or somewhere else, is that it brings the jobs that were originally here back to here. I don't see why we need to export jobs to Mexico anymore. I just don't. And that's and maybe you're okay with that. Maybe it's fine that that car parts cross the border 20 times before they end up being assembled into a car in Ohio somewhere. Okay, maybe that's cool with you, but I would rather it be just here. I would rather pay Americans to do it. I would rather my dollars stay in America. I'm okay, and maybe you don't. Maybe in your opinion, it's great to send our product manufacturing overseas. It's great to continue to import.
I do a
things
quick response.
China.
I'm going to straight to Bam. I promise. Quick. Great. So, like it actually. So, ironically, it works out for my political benefit that cars get more expensive, right? But not for the reasons that you might think. The reasons why I would like cars to be more expensive because I want people to drive less. I think that we need to move away from our car culture, right? So if they get more expensive, that's fine. So like going on with,
but there's no guarantee that they will get more expensive.
So yeah, I know, but like, the point is to bring that manufacturing into the States, which one way or the other, right? Both ways, either through the tariffs or bringing all the manufacturing home would increase the price of the cars from what they are now. So either way,
why would that happen? Why does A equal B?
Because obviously, because the price of creating a car, of building it here is going to be more expensive than
the guy punching a button here that makes the robot operate is the same.
It's not just a robot. Okay, that was a dumbass thing that was just said by one of Trump's secretaries. That like we're just going to have robot jobs here, right?
Have you visited? I
know exactly what car manufacturing looks like. I get that that a lot of it is mechanized, but not all of it is mechanized.
You think it's those jobs over there just for fun? Just because they just like, let's put it over here in Mexico.
I think Ford moved to Mexico because there was some massive incentives.
So hold on, you're saying, but I know you were making statements. Hey, maybe you like it if our money goes across the borders. No, actually, I would love the money to stay here, right? And in fact, it would benefit my political goals if we can make cars more expensive, make the whole process of driving more expensive, and then switch to better alternatives like a massive expanding public transportation. So I'm fine with that. So just to be clear, right? So there's the answer to that. Bam, Corey.
Yeah. So there's
earlier as well.
Well, Corey hasn't been a while.
Sorry. All right.
Is this related to this, or do you just want?
Go for it, Bam.
Okay, this is related to this, and then we can move on from it. Yeah. There's 4 reasons. There's 4 major negative externalities. Number 1, the most obvious, is the price of labor. The reason they don't want to use the United States, like when you have to pay United States labor to build these vehicles, the cost of these the goods in turn are going to have to increase based off of that. Number 2 is these things can't be done overnight. You're talking about multi-billion-dollar like factory initial setups. That, like, Trump gave a 1-month exclusion for the big 3 auto manufacturers. I don't know what he thinks a month is going to do to change to where they can move all of manufacturing back to the United States. That's a multi-year job, probably. Sure. 10 billion plus for the things that their business plans that they've already built out for years aren't prepared to do. Number three, you're going to have number three, you're going to have less economic impact on your biggest allies, our closest neighbors. It actually benefits the United States to be on good terms with Mexico and Canada, as well as the rest of the global market. And number four, actually, I guess there's five things. Number four, the United States unemployment rate is already pretty low, and I think there's like over 500,000 open manufacturing jobs right now. The United States economy is just moving away from a manufacturing economy to a service economy. People don't like doing these jobs. They don't want to do these jobs.
All right, cool. All right. So first of all, if what you say is true, I'm not going to go line by line. If what you say is true, why is it that every single auto manufacturer has factories in the United States? VW, Mercedes-Benz, BMW, Honda, Toyota, Acura. Well, Acura is Honda. Ford, Chevy, everybody. Mercedes-Benz has a factory right down the road from me in Alabama. Nissan's right down the street from me. VW's in North Carolina or South Carolina. BMW's in South Carolina. Why, if what you're saying is true, which I don't believe it is, I don't believe that ChatGPT can back that shit up. But I know for a fucking fact that those factories exist here right now.
Trust the ChatGPT.
So if what you say is true, why do those factories exist?
They're all in the United States.
Why do those factories exist if what you say is true?
Yes, I'm trying to answer that.
Okay, good.
Just because they want to have, just because they put one of their factories in a location in the United States doesn't mean that this is where the vast majority of their inventory is being built. The factories that do exist are receiving ridiculous tax incentives to be there, to make them affordable to be. They couldn't exist to compete.
There's another reason.
Those things.
There's another reason they're there. And this is
we have to go to Corey. Corey's been waiting.
That's fine. It's only one sentence. The one reason they're there is because there's different standards. Like the Ford Fiesta, for example, can't be produced in the United States, so it's produced in like Europe. Versus here, they would produce the American version. Yeah, like
Jesus. Let's go to Corey.
Put together, Corey.
So I guess on this same topic, and like on cars, so Grid one, you brought up the examples of Germany and Japan. Like, in your opinion, do you think that the current state of the German economy, Japan economy is great?
No, I said back. Were you not listening?
No. I was.
I was very carefully. I was very specific.
Yeah, I know. I'm going to expand on that and long term, and your lack of long term thinking. Okay. So, and why do you think there's the whole lost decade?
Actually, I mean,
wait.
I'll pick on. I will stick with just the automotive manufacturing.
Okay.
So actually,
go with
ahead.
automotive.
Go ahead.
So, also based off your estimation, do you think the German automaker industry is in good shape as well?
Do I think the German auto manufacturers are in good shape?
I don't think we know what that is. The average American doesn't keep up with other countries.
Well, you should take a look. So, what?
Hold on. I asked you. I want to clarify the question. Do I think the German auto manufacturing is in good shape? No. Germany has run their manufacturing into the ground with labor unions and exceedingly punitive measures. Absolutely. Actually, when they produced a Porsche Boxster, they actually moved production out of the country to Holland or Finland or somewhere really cold like that, just to get away from the labor unions. So no, I don't. But none of that has anything to do with tariffs, Corey.
Well, no. I'm going to get to it. I've only said like one. I've only asked like one question or two questions so far.
Okay.
So, I'm also want to clarify in terms of what you want, as in, do all you care about is American jobs, or do you have a vested interest in having America as the #1 economy, or like you don't actually care whether?
Why are those two things mutually exclusive, Corey?
I'm just if there was a preference, okay.
I don't have a preference. Both of those things are not mutually exclusive.
I agree in principle they're not. But
good.
That I will make.
Wait a minute, mutually exclusive. That doesn't answer his question. It's just saying, what do you prioritize more?
Yeah, what do I prioritize more?
Yeah, even if they both can exist, which one is a bigger priority?
Which one's more important to you?
More important to me? Probably jobs in America. I think Americans need to have better lives.
Okay, sure. Then I have less
You think
issues with your
manufacturing
position
jobs
because, like, what I
are the
would
way to
say,
better lives?
okay, is like if you want to bring back car manufacturing, if you want to bring back, table manufacturing and sneaker manufacturing in
We
the
don't
United
need
States,
to bring it
if
back.
you
We
think
just
if you think you can compete with China,
You literally
okay,
want to.
there's a reason. There's a reason why the German auto industry
Mhm.
is like tanking because they can't compete with China. There's a reason why Japan automaking industry is tanking because it can't compete with China. I think Nissan is like on the verge of bankruptcy. They're
Which
really
which
struggling.
which
So
Chinese made cars or manufactured cars are sold here, Corey?
there's a ban, from what I understand.
Well, no, there's not technically a ban, but are there? They don't meet our crash certifications.
There's
What
probably that
that
fact
that
too in
that
terms
doesn't
of
answer my
regulation.
question.
The-
Which ones?
it,
Hey, if there's a ban,
there's
then
zero. As in,
that's
like,
not a good
I
question.
don't think you could. You're really allowed either through regulations or an actual explicit
Okay.
ban that you can't. Do you think there's no Chinese cars outside of China?
Well, I've been to China.
Okay,
I've
so
actually looked into their car market. It's very interesting. They have a car there that they make there called the Cherry QQ, which is was a basically an exact replica of like some Chevy Sonic from Europe or some crap like that. I don't know. It's a really tiny little car. Almost every auto manufacturer had to set up in China because China has a law that says that
yeah,
you cannot import used cars. Period. As a matter of fact, all cars had to be new. And China is so tough with their auto industry that currently, and when I was in Beijing, one of the big things is that the traffic was so bad that if you had odd numbered license plates, you could drive Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. If even numbers, Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. And I guess you could all drive on Sunday if you really wanted to. But it was, and people were actually buying a second car because the license plates are permanently affixed to the car, assigned to each car. So people would buy a second car to have an even and an odd license plate. So that's a very interesting thing for China, but it has nothing to do with them making cars that are ever going to be sold here.
I remember doing that here too in the 80s.
boy,
Do you really? I didn't drive back then, so I don't know.
my statement. I'm not sure if there's a ban. I believe there's like 100% tariff, or I think Biden implemented 100% tariff on EV cars specifically made out of China. Okay, so
Are you talking about EV cars?
I believe, and maybe just cars out of China in general, but I believe there's a reason why there's no Chinese cars. And
I mean, in theory,
Well, it's not true that
China
there's no
has some like
Chinese cars.
really
There are no
high tech
Chinese
cars that
branded
they.
cars.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
Yeah, okay, sure. In terms of like certain, you can get around manufacturing to a certain extent, but like you don't have Chinese branded cars like whatever. The BYD is like the large EV manufacturer. So I'm just curious. Okay, on a global scale, do you think United States car manufacturing can compete with Chinese car manufacturing?
Absolutely.
Okay, I would say you were wrong in
100%.
history.
As a matter of fact, I think that China has probably copied enough of American manufacturing to just about be even. In theory, I've heard this. I haven't been there. I need to go and look around and see what's available. Apparently, they've got some really, really high tech, like advanced EV cars and some like really badass stuff going on over there that obviously they really can't export to anywhere. Or they won't allow to export anywhere because it's a very restrictive environment.
By a Chinese company now.
I'm sorry.
Apparently, Volvo's owned by a Chinese company now. I just looked
It's
up.
been they owned Humvee as well for a while. I think they sold that back to GM though.
I don't know, but yeah,
there's
I
a lot
think
of cars that are made in China that do sell here. They're just not branded as Chinese cars. Volvo S90 is one of them.
I think that I think the point of having all of this conversation is just around the idea of like with American manufacturing, with American unemployment already being so low, the idea of like we're trying to bring base level
You
manufacturing.
literally just said that people didn't want to work anything but part-time jobs, but if they could
No,
get
I didn't say
but they should get a full-time job, or if they could get a full-time job, it would be better. So if such full-time jobs existed, would that not be a better situation?
Yeah, I didn't say that people didn't want to work full-time jobs. I said the company.
I'm sorry, Gibbs. Is that not what he said? Am I dreaming?
That is, he said they're not hiring full-time jobs.
Yeah.
Not hiring full-time workers. Sorry.
Yeah.
Companies don't want to hire full-time work because they don't want to have to pay out benefits. That was
well, it's the regulations for sure. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, the regulations like you need to pay your
Yeah,
people.
but hold on.
Everyone is
Companies
except
don't.
for
Hold on.
workers. It's not the workers.
Hold on. Yeah,
Everyone
it's
had
not the
3
workers.
jobs up until inauguration day. Okay.
Oh, hold on. First of all, I take umbrance with this concept, right? I hire people all the time. Hold on. I have not spoken in about an hour. Calm down there. Before you
Neither have I.
interrupt me.
Whoa, shit. Neither have I. If we're gonna compete.
Okay, all right, cool. So here's the thing. All right. I take umbrance with this concept that Bam keeps bringing up, and I even brought this up with my hiring practices and how I manage people versus what Grid does, which I don't know what his structure is. It sounds totally different than mine, and probably for a good reason, right? So sure, when I look at this, there is reason why a company would like to hire somebody full time, put them at benefits. You put them a salary, you get benefits. It's much better for retainment. Now, where we're getting fucked, and this is something thankfully I don't have to deal with because I'm in Texas, where it's a right to work state, right? Is unions. Unions are single handedly fucking the workers because they make people agree to these union deal contracts, and then guess what? These individual business owners can't sit here and do what's best for the workers because we got to have a union bargaining thing. And then what happens is these unions all end up being corrupt, every single one of them. They're always ridden with organized crime. And I tell you what, you find me five unions and that aren't corrupt, and I'll fucking give somebody a free slap because they're all corrupt, every single fucking one of them. And if they're not, they're communist fucking puppet pieces. It's terrible. So they've gotten all the regulations and they got this collective bargaining agreements, and it actually fucks workers because it doesn't look out for them at all. Maybe the original concept for unions was good, but that is the single-handedly biggest reason why American workers are getting fucked. It's not because American business owners don't want to pay them benefits. It's because there's over-regulation that fucks people, or you have the unions doing collective bargaining. That's your problem.
I won't say that every union in the United States is perfect. I won't make that argument at all. But if you look at pay discrepancies, between unionized workers versus non-unionized, it's not even close. Unions.
But look at the states that have that, right? So here's the other thing you're factoring, right? So I pay, we brought up my leather company, right? And I pay them $40K. Well, standard of living in Texas is a lot lower. $40K is pretty good, in Texas. That's nothing though. If I was in California, these people would be fucked. They'd be living outside in a box. So it's all relative.
I came against your specific business practices, like I said, but I'm just saying buying.
No, but what I'm saying is the argument there is when you look at pay, I'm in a right to work state. These people aren't unionized. Could they unionize? Sure, I guess. I don't fucking know. But they're not getting paid. They're paid $40K. That's about average or on par with whatever moderate pay. But then if I was looking at California where they are heavily unionized, or look at Detroit where they are heavily unionized, yeah, the pay might be higher, but nobody's working. Everybody's fucked. So how are you going to explain? Well, yeah, of course they got.
I don't understand why you're blaming unions for that.
What do you mean?
Well, I can explain that.
Why is no one working?
Yeah, go ahead, Grid. Go ahead.
I can explain it. So I have one.
Speak to Detroit specifically.
Well, Detroit's a living shithole.
Who's going to go? Who's going to go? I'll go.
Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So I have one of the companies has one union job, and it is not only union, but it's a secured facility. So every person that goes over there has to have a valid background check, and they have to be part of the union. It's impossible to hire a union guy in this specific field. So we once a month we have to send a guy down to Atlanta. He gets trained for 2 days and he comes back, and it's like this long ass apprenticeship to be part of the union. Now I have to pay that. I could have hired 3 guys to put on this job, but because I have to do all this union crap, I have 1 guy. And when he quits, I will probably give up that contract and let somebody else deal with it.
Yeah, it's not that people don't want to work. It's that you don't want to go through the paperwork to hire people under regulation. That's not people don't.
Well, I have 14 other employees that work every day.
Yeah. Well,
I mean,
why would I? Why is this one person one
whether
special
or not
scope?
you want to is
union. I wouldn't say unions are in the interest of ownership. They counter ownership.
It's not in the interest of the employee.
These unions, people don't want to work. You said, Gibbs, look, all these people, all the prices are high. People don't want to work. That's not true. It's the fact that it's hard to get hired. because there are regulations on the business owner, regulations.
No, I can't find anybody
Yeah,
willing
why
to
do
put
business?
up
Hold
with
on,
the
hold on.
union
If it's just that
requirement.
they're too lazy, if it's just that they're too lazy, Ollie, then why is it
Yeah.
that
I don't think
businesses
it's
flee?
too lazy. I don't think
Oh,
it's
so it's
Dude,
not too
I
lazy.
ran an
Okay.
ad for
So then
3
why do
weeks
the
before I
businesses
got one
flee these
guy.
regulated areas? And why in those areas where they are
They don't want to have
regulated
to pay
are
them
the
benefits.
standard of
Do
living
you,
much
do you know
like
do you know how
work?
many applications I filled out this month? I filled out like 300 applications. There's a
What
bunch of-
what
there's-
what
there's-
business you
there's a
in?
discrep- Me, I mean, whatever business is available. I do massage therapy, I do retail, I do sales, whatever's available. But the fact of the matter is, there's a bunch of job openings. There's a bunch of ghost applications. It kind of fucking sucks for people as well. It's just that like everyone's kind of putting the onus on the workers. Like Gibbs literally just said in Detroit, the wages are high, but no one wants to work. And then like you came in.
It's not
and,
that
like,
they don't want to
and to your
work.
point, and to your point,
That's not what I
Greg,
said.
no, you said the wages are high and no one
No,
wants
no,
to work.
it's not that they don't want to work. It's that there's no like. Okay, you
You're not gonna
have
get
a
hired,
certain
which
group
was
of
which was
people.
Bam's
You're not going to get
point,
hired because
and
you
then
have a
Grid-
certain
and
group of
then-
people
and then Grid
that have
only
fucked everybody else
reinforced-
out.
I know. And then Grid kind of only reinforced Bam's point, which is like to like his point, like as a business owner, there's a bunch of hoops that you have to go through.
Yeah,
in
but
order
the,
to
the
find decent
employee
work.
doesn't want to do it
So
either.
sociologic. If you went to Detroit and wanted to work for a car dealership, not car dealer, like a car manufacturer, all right? Let's just go with that scenario. And you
The
didn't want to be
regulations are
part of
fucking
it.
me as a worker too.
Sure,
I get it.
right.
All this licensing
But
is
yeah,
bullshit
but
for
hold
these
on. Hear me
menial
out.
jobs.
Hear me
I'm
out.
with you
Hear me
guys.
out there. No, hear me
Yeah.
out there. Say you wanted to go and be work, right? And you didn't want to be part of the union. What would the union people do in that area if they tried to hire you?
I didn't want to be a
What
part
about
of the
people in
union
that
and want to
area?
work. No, they probably wouldn't like they'd make your job.
They try to force you out. They would try to
Yeah.
make it difficult. They'd call you
Yeah.
a scat, correct? Yeah. So then
Sure.
you can't tell me that unions are pro-worker whenever they're fighting individuals wanting to work. They're sitting here
They're
just organized
pro-union
crime.
work.
So here's the thing.
They're
So
pro-members.
Grid, once again, I'm like I'm with you because as like someone who's trying to work, when you try to get some of these jobs that require X certification for the most menial job ever, right? Like my license from Michigan, I got it 10 years ago, my massage therapy license. Now that there's an MBLEX certification test, my license is no longer national. I have to get
Right.
research. It's a whole fucking bullshit, right? But
Right. I
issue
couldn't when I went to hire somebody. Sociologic. I'm
Yeah.
going to tell you that the guy that I hired does not want to do the union stuff. The
I feel
only
you, I
reason that he does it is I pay him a little bit of extra money, and if he actually finishes, and I'm paying for his apprenticeship program, so he'll have a union card, and he can maybe one day, if I close down or I get tired of looking at his face, he can go work somewhere else. That's the
No one
only
likes
reason
filling out
he's putting up
paperwork,
with
but
this
they want
crap.
the protections that come with it. Yeah, no one likes
is that
filling
not
out
good? Is
or
that
going
not, but is that
through.
not a
Right.
benefit
But
to the
all of
worker?
my other employees at that business that have been there for years, before I bought it, every one of them are happy. And I went out the day we got the contract, I went out and said, hey, I need 2 guys to go down and become union certified. And we hired a union guy because we had to have we can't just have an
They have
apprentice.
no
It's got to be.
protections. You could end them tomorrow.
None of them would go
The
do it.
only protection is you. Their protection is the fact that they have faith in you. They have faith in the company that they've worked for. They're loyal to that company. They have trust within that company. But to your point, you just said the other guy who has to go through the regulations in order for you to hire them, hire him, I think is the point. The other guy, if you do shut down, if you do get tired of looking at his face, he has certain protections that the other people now don't. Now, I'm not, once again, you may be a good business owner. You may have good business practices. Your people may love working for you, but that isn't like indicative of like every workplace in America, right? And so that's why we
I get that. I get that, but
over you, they may fuck you over, but in the greater scheme of things, it's like in mass, businesses tend to fuck over their workers, which is why these regulations exist.
So
And you
quick
as a business
response.
owner, you as a business owner, you have to deal with these regulations, but you also stand to make the most money.
So you can make a grid, make a quick response, and then hold on. I want to let Aiko in because he's trying to get in. And then we'll move on.
Yeah, I just wanted to say quickly that there's another equivalent to this. So yeah, workers have those kinds of rights too, but employers will do the same thing, right? They'll make you sign a non-compete, and if you work for them for a few years and then you want to leave and you want to go somewhere else in that same industry, those employers will stop. I'm under a non-compete myself. Like, so if I start coaching for another company that does something similar to what we could do, I'm not allowed to do that, right? Because of the contract that I signed. So I don't think it's unique that workers seek these kinds of protections. Employers do it too. And even if employers didn't have non-competes in particular, they also have in many industries something close to a monopoly in particular areas where you wouldn't be able to leave there anyway because the skills that you have like wouldn't be transferable to any other company because we haven't busted up monopolies and oligopolies in like a century. And until we do, that's going to give employers like tremendous advantages. I am also very skeptical of unions for a variety of reasons, especially in the field of education, which is where I work. It's very difficult to fire a bad teacher, and I hate that. It's very difficult to reward a good teacher by paying them more than somebody who doesn't get the same results. I hate that. But I think if you know one of the reasons why people feel like they need like labor protections is because of things like non-competes and because of oligopolies that stop you from being able to transfer your skills. If you take care of one of those issues, I'll be a lot more skeptical of the other one.
Well, I can't speak for every boss, ICAO, but what how do you say that?
You can call me Rich.
Okay, Rich. All right, cool. So I can't speak for every employer out there, but I do make my employees sign NDAs and non-competes. But anyone that leaves me on good terms, I generically let them out of the non-compete. They can go work for anybody else. They can set up their own shop. I don't care. The NDA, because they have they have access to client list. They know who my customers are. They know, the NDA. I don't generally.
I understand when it comes to that.
Yeah, I don't generally let people out of NDAs.
You can't work at all is like I understand that you're going to let them out of that because like you're a good person individually, but we're not talking about like who's a good person individually. We're talking about systems, right?
Yeah.
And if we have a system that stops people from being able to apply their trade in a way that's competitive,
and I am speaking of a trade. This is a trade. No. This isn't.
Wait, hold on. I got to push back on this. Hold on. We got to push back on that. Right. Yeah. So Grid is saying that he has his workers sign these non-competes, but usually he lets them out if they leave on good terms. Right.
Right.
But fuck that. Why should they have to have left on good terms, right? What if, right? Like I'm working under Grid, right? Doing whatever the fuck, right? Making his widgets for him, right? And then because Grid's being an asshole one day, I told him to go fuck himself, right? I'm not going to take it anymore. And then I leave. And then he hits me with this non-compete when I try to either open up my own shop or anything like that. It shouldn't be up to our personal interactions. It shouldn't be up to you being a good person. And I'm not saying that you're a bad person. I'll be very clear. I'm not trying to cast aspersions on your personality or anything like that. But like the very fact that it simply is your choice, right? Where you can limit a person's economic opportunities like that. That's the problem. That seems also non-worker or trade secrets, anti-worker.
So
hold on. I agree with most of that. What do you do in trade secret situations?
What about client list?
Yeah, okay, then we could talk. Yeah, like I said, we could talk about trade secrets, right? Maybe we could say
client list,
an NDA, right? Yeah, like a client list or something that you can't maybe touch the client list. There's ways to work around that, certainly, right?
That's why I don't really care about the non-compete because I've had people get hired away by other people. I don't really care about the non-compete. The only reason I even have someone sign the non-compete anymore is just because I don't want somebody coming in working 2 months and then going out and setting up their own shop. And honestly, it's as much. I don't want to see people open up a shop and fail like fucking miserably. I've seen it. I've watched it happen over and over.
That's fine, and I can agree that would be unfair to you. Like if someone had come in for a short amount of time and
just
then
learned how you do
trade
things,
secrets,
and
there might be. I think there's a limited nuanced ways that we could actually deal with that. But in general, these non-competes, we don't want that. No, fuck that. It shouldn't be up.
Well, then don't take the job.
Kindness. Oh, yeah, exactly. Hold on. Then don't. Then, and if you don't want to follow regulations, then don't hire. Don't build the business or don't do anything. Right? Like we can just play
I do follow the regulation. So, that's the point.
Okay, great. Then there's no need to complain about it. Right? Either just do the follow the regulations or don't. Right?
Yeah, you're making the money.
No reason to complain. Yeah. So
money with the regulations.
Well,
that's the whole point.
Biden did a good thing, right? It's surprising. Well, not really. It wasn't him. It was like Lena Khan, I believe, right? But he got rid of those non-competes, right? And Lactoid was here, I think, and I'm sure Corey was here as well. And we had that conversation. We had a topic on these non-competes. That was banned for most occupations, right? Like we have non-competes literally for being a fast food worker. Right, so you can't like if you're a fast food worker in one place,
Massage
you can't
therapy, there's NDA.
go across.
That
Work at
seems
McDonald's, you can't go across to work at
out of
Burger
line.
King, right?
There's
and that's
non-competes for massage
yes,
therapy.
there's non-competes there. It's nonsense, right? And it shouldn't be up to anyone. There's non-competes for fucking nail techs, right? I heard a story about that, about nail techs not being able to do that. So it should not be up to.
Well,
the
hold
boss,
on.
right?
So
He
here's
should-
the reason why some of those are okay. I think with the food, I'm just gonna guess. Like, right? I think it's not so much the line people, but it's included in there because it's because those people are included. But I think it's for higher ups. I think it's probably standard business practice to include it. They don't enforce it. Now, when you bring up the nail tech, though, I think this is one that's important because there was a reason why some companies do it says I don't have any non-competes because you're not gonna outsell my people, fuck you. But whenever we go over to see like some of these companies, like I'll use K Jewelers, right? They're owned by Signet, so that's Jared K Zales. They would have non-competes. And the reason would be, it's not that they would have access to the client list, it's that you had built your clients while there. So your clients would go there expecting to see you. And if you're over at a new place, you're just going to text all your clients, I'm at, like Helsenberg's now, right? And so that is kind of an issue because yes, they are your clients. However, you did develop them using like their resources, their like place. And I think there is something to be said for the validity of, hey, I don't like the idea you could just take like all your clients over to another company.
And I already addressed that. I said that as well. We have
that's not the company's clients though.
Thank you for Sean for gifting that membership on YouTube. Thanks so much. And a super chat that came in only 12 minutes ago. Okay. All right. Thank you. Sir Bibbles, Sir Bobbles, maybe. He said to Gibbs, right? Can you name one regulation that is actively, all caps, actively making your life suffer that needs to be removed?
Actively. Let's see. In my day-to-day life.
You're a business owner. You bitch about it all day, no?
Yeah, I'm trying to think like something specific. I mean, zoning, like it depends. Like probably zoning laws would be the biggest one. The big like is like where I can't build certain like cattle things. Like I can't build chutes in certain areas on my land based off zoning laws. That's pretty annoying. That's pretty local. I'm trying to think of like a national one. That like I specifically
you can't graze your
trouble.
cattle in certain places, right? Like
that would be state. That'd be state issues.
I
right?
thought there were
like,
federal like lands that you weren't. Or actually, maybe you are allowed to.
It's not a problem.
Lands.
Yeah,
Okay,
it's not a problem I would have though, because all my land is all my cattle on my land. I mean, yeah, like I didn't. Yeah, okay, I can. Okay, some of the regulations about what leather I can import are pretty terrible, right? Like you can't import leather from certain countries due to there might be conflicts in that country, right? That's pretty terrible. Even because like, oh, we can't guarantee it's not produced like with like unethically. Even if I have like direct connections with like say the guy, and it's like, oh, there's shared land. So say like an elephant dies, right? They harvest the elephant skin from the graveyards, and part of the graveyards in one country and part of the graveyards not. And like they wouldn't be able to harvest anywhere from this graveyard if it was in that like partially in another country because like whatever. And that drives prices pretty high. I mean that would be like the biggest one I could think of. Is like the conflict laws, like in regards to that I deal with on a regular basis. But
I can think of one off the top of my head. There's regulations in place by the medical community to limit the number of doctors we can have in the United States at any one time. Like, so the reason we have a doctor shortage is like, I wouldn't say completely manufactured, but heavily manufactured. Is just because the doctors that do exist want to keep the medical profession is kind of like an elite boys club.
Really? I didn't know that.
We're only the fewest people. Yeah, like if you talk to people who went through medical school, no matter where you go, they're almost always one of the first things they hit during their first year. It turns like Hunger Games. One of the first things like professors will tell you is like, oh, okay, only half of you are going to pass this class. It doesn't matter what you do. It doesn't matter what your grade is. Like we're cutting half here. Like we're chopping you down. We're shrinking you down. And there's regulations in place to towards like how many people can get white coats.
Lactoid, if he was, I'm not sure if he's still paying attention, but Lactoid has talked about that quite a bit. And in terms of, I think maybe your own profession, but like in terms of like the bar association or whatever. But yeah, you have thoughts on that. Do you want to expand on
that? So my profession is one of the few, I don't know of any other examples, that doesn't allow non-competes. It's just straight up banned. And that has to do with basically they frame it in terms of, for the client as opposed to anything else. It's not necessarily for the attorney. It's the idea of when a lawyer leaves a firm, the client just has the decision to go with the attorney or not. And they don't want a circumstance in which the attorney can't practice and then can't service the client when the client wants that particular attorney to be their attorney on the case, is basically the justification. And as a result, there's non-competes are difficult because they do appear to have good economic effects, right? They just limit the ability to contract in some regards.
What are the good economic effects of a non-compete?
For the business owner.
Sorry, of not having a non-compete. I apologize. Of banning them. Yeah.
Okay.
But the problem has to do with limiting people's right to contract. But it does, there's been arguments on both sides. One side is arguing, well, it's going to encourage people to be more willing to hire people who potentially could be an issue later on down the road. That's probably true to some extent. But at least the empirical evidence that the FTC is citing indicates that banning non-competes would have some beneficial effects in the economy.
I think it's going to vary industry
I keep
by
hearing
industry.
a crinkling sound. Whoever is doing a crinkling sound, if you could mute. I don't know what it is. It's like near your mic.
Is it my mic?
No, I don't think it's yours. But just so yeah.
Yeah, I think two things. Last two things. I think it would vary industry by industry. Like I could imagine if I worked somewhere in like the Silicon Valley tech field, I can understand the importance of non-competes, especially if you work in an R&D department, where someone can't figure out like, oh, this is what the next iPhone's features are, and then 3 months later quit and basically sell that information to the largest bidder. But outside of that, something else I thought about this earlier when we were talking about ways to actually improve our government. We most likely should have let the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act fall off. Honestly, I think we probably should. Everyone, as crazy as it sounds, everyone could probably benefit from an increase in taxes, especially the bottom 50% of Americans. I think somewhere it was posted that if you increased the tax revenue, the old tax revenue on the bottom 50% by 2%, which equals out to be somewhere on around $800 or something per year. It would in turn generate, I think, over 120 or 130 billion dollars per year and over $1 trillion over a decade. For very little increase in basically what people pay in, we can have significant benefits in the amount of tax revenue we actually bring in. The government right now currently isn't bringing in enough money, regardless of whatever growth you want to talk about. I think that's something we have to do. And yes, it should be with billionaires, but it shouldn't just be with billionaires.
Sorry, I want to pause. But we did. There's lots of things I got to do. One, Lactoid, before the thing that I want to you to comment on is the limiting of doctors coming into the medical field is something that Bam was talking about previously. And I know you feel pretty strongly about that. So if you can talk about that in a second. Two, just because I haven't done it yet, just now, guys, if you support the channel, if you like the conversation, if you've been sitting here for a few hours, been with us, consider supporting the channel. First, hit the follow button here if you haven't done so yet. Consider doing that. Follow us on YouTube, follow us on Twitch. Be part of this community, and make sure notifications are on so you know when I'm going live. We're doing more streams, and we'd love to have you there. Right. Beyond that, consider supporting the channel monetarily if you can. Super chats are great, so we appreciate the last super chat. Membership, YouTube memberships are good. Or if you are on Twitch, consider using a subscription, getting bits, getting subs, any of that good stuff allows me to continue going. So consider support like the subscription board is empty still, so consider helping us out. If you find yourself coming back here often and you're getting value out of this, we do need your help. So consider subs to the channel, gifting bits or gifting subs. You get ad free viewing, you got our emotes, and when we're doing like we did that open panel on Friday, you can join those open panels. You can just hop right in if you are a channel sub. So we're going to try to do more of those again. So if you enjoyed our very long panel, then and you'd like to be a part of that, consider also supporting the channel that way. We do need your assistance. Okay, so I'll let Gibbs jump in, and then Electoid, if you could comment on the medical thing. Go ahead, Gibbs.
Yeah, just real quick, going back to the regulation thing, I'll tell you one now. Now that I've sat here and thought about it, was a few years ago. This is the one that I dealt with a lot. Was the like what we had to do with our cattle, in order to label it properly, right? Like, and so say like a chicken, the one everybody thinks of is like free range chicken, right? I don't grow chickens. Some of my aunts and uncles do, but they would have to jump through a ton of hoops, whatever. And what's the one now they have? What's the
Cage
that's
free.
called where you can't? Yeah. What was it?
Cage free.
Yeah, that one. And then there's another one you can like apply for to get where you don't have any of the steroids and shit. And now I don't give my cattle any steroids. They're just you let them out there. They eat alfalfa cubes and they or that's what we call them. And then they eat fucking hay and grass. And I mean I like don't fit the requirements for any of these things, even though we've never given any of our cattle any steroids. I don't like we barely give them any antibiotics unless they're like sick. I'm not shooting them injected, and we don't qualify for like a lot of these. Now I don't care because most of my cattle are sold straight to Saltgrass and HEB, and so they just go straight to them. And I think they're probably what you're getting is the ground beef. Whatever. I don't give a shit. But like if y'all are like you're going to get the T-bone steak at like Saltgrass, probably not mine. You might get a burger for my shit, right? Like so, I'm not worried. I already got contracts. But some of my aunts and uncles and shit, that they, cousins and whatnot, they don't have it. They've tried to get these different regulations like changed even within state and like a national level to try to get these animals because their animals should be classified as this, but they're never going to be because some guy out in the middle of I don't know Washington is like, hey, this chicken needs to have 60% whatever to be considered free range, even if it's like a chicken living out in the middle of the nowhere. So that's pretty much. There's a lot of those kind of weird things with ranchers and farmers, depending on
Yeah,
whatever
there
your
really
specific
are.
like graze. Like
It's every industry,
like
dude.
I don't. Yeah, and like I don't grow anything except for what they call coastal, which is a grass, right?
Mhm.
And we'll turn it into hay bales. Sometimes I'll sell extra because there's so many regulations around like what you can do with like corn and like I can't grow corn, but like any of the like products you can grow in my area, like all those different things, they have like a lot of regulations.
Yeah.
So I just like it's not worth it.
Yeah, even
Go ahead.
one of the most amazing things is when I was in California, it seemed like every month a different inspector would come by the shop with their hand out for a check to give me a sticker or a certificate or something. The dumbest one, and this is actually why I closed the shop in California. The dumbest one was I had this guy show up at the shop, and I happened to be there. I don't know why I was there, but I just happened to be there. And he shows up at the shop, and he's like, "I'm here to check your pressure vessels." And I'm like, "I don't have any pressure vessels. I don't know what you're talking about." It says here you have 3 air compressors. Those are pressure vessels. And I'm like, "Really?" And he's like, "Yeah, it cost me $150 for him to put a sticker over the previous sticker on commercial, or yeah, I guess, or commercial grade air compressors that you can buy at Home Depot or Lowe's or where the fuck ever.
Did he inspect them, or did he just put a sticker?
He literally just put a sticker on them.
Okay.
And I was like, this is the biggest, and that was just I mean, dude, we had the smog machine had to be certified every so often, which it didn't really need it, but they, it's just a cash grab by the government. I really hate it.
Wait, doesn't that remove liability from you though? Just real quick, like you're regulated to have these things certified, right? If this person comes and checks them, but he doesn't do his job, and then something happens, you can put the onus on them, no?
No,
I'm
you would want it to work that way, and I think in a perfect world it would, but it never works that way. It's just like they have an association called the BAR, the Bay Area Auto Repair something, and the BAR, and that's where all your customer can complain about your work, and they'll come out and they'll talk to you. The customers think that these people have legal authority over us, and I can tell them to go pound sand, and the only thing they can do is write a report back to the customer saying whether or not they believe that they should sue me and what they could be a witness to as in theory an expert witness, and what they saw, whatever. And I've never had a bar agent not side with me, but it makes but they get paid by the public to tell the public that we've done our jobs. That's basically how it works. It's just nuts. It's crazy.
That's like most certification these days. It's ridiculous. Look, car registration fees are bullshit. Traveling, not driving. I wish that was the case. We could live that life.
Live that life.
Traveling, not driving. You're one of those guys.
I guess. What specifically are you asking for? Like when you're talking about non-competes exist to protect the employer. I know. So they exist to like protect the company, and there's like negative effects from that. But there's also this concept that hospitals are artificially lowering the supply of physicians as opposed to what the market would dictate, right?
Yeah.
He said that you had said before prior that happens with lawyers, like the bar association, limiting the number of people.
No. I mean, it happens with doctors. I know the American Physician or the American Association of Physicians, and a couple other agencies and some licensing agencies do limit and at least have historically limited people in the profession. And there is some
how many per year
effects from this.
It's not a total
number along those lines. Yeah, it's a mix of limits per year, but then also like there's also capped Medicare. How many can train under Medicare is also capped. There's a couple other caps that apply. And
are you familiar with this enough? Because I had a nurse tell me once that hospitals were limiting the number of doctors they were hiring so they could hire more nurses and nurse practitioners in their place, and they pay them less, far less than doctors, and so they may have like 10 of these nurse practitioners on a floor and one doctor to see 60 patients or however many it is.
I don't know about far less. About saying if someone's an MP, you're gonna pay them. I about to say if anything, I would rather just have residents than pay MPs.
Yeah,
a resident may make 65, 70K. An MP starting out at 120. A lot of places these days.
Yeah, no, it pays well, but in terms of attorneys, there's really not really a comparable situation. In fact, I would say
I haven't heard about that with attorneys.
There's a little bit of a glut, I think, in the market. Actually, there's a little bit too many.
Well, yeah. So you're correct, but like you had talked about the thing with physicians, and you apparently were quite passionate about that. Like you wanted to get rid of that. No, oh, now I remember what the.
I think you're thinking about Scott.
No.
It's probably Scott.
No. I'm thinking of Lactoid. The thing that I know you were pissed about or want to get rid of is like having, I guess, forcing people to like to pass the bar in the first place, saying that like if you're an unregulated lawyer, right, like that you can just advertise, hey, I haven't passed the bar or anything, and then maybe you work at a lower fee, and you can take that risk one way or the other.
Well, I say that about all licensed professions. I
Yeah.
think that anybody in a quote unquote licensed profession should be able to do the job as long as they adequately inform the person ahead of time that they don't actually have a license and that they
Yeah,
can explain
I
their own
agree with
training. I think this is especially
there's
true when it comes to
non-accredited-
lawyers.
Well, I mean, the closest thing you have a law school, you still have to pass the bar, but there's non-accredited law schools.
Yeah.
Across the
which
country.
are the big. I mean, it's just like if you can't turn it into some kind of like money making like endeavor, it's just not going to be worth it.
Yeah, their pass rates at those schools are ridiculously low. Like they go like years without getting a person to pass. But
Wow.
you know, if you could get your get your JD for $900.
A lot of them are scams. There's a lot of scams out there. You got to be careful. Like only go to a law school that's accredited. Only go to a law school that's. I mean, frankly, I would say that any kind of law. I'm just going to kind of speak very broadly here.
Yeah.
Any kind of law school that's not
check your OBS, Lactoid.
Yeah, check your frozen. Hey, Sociologic, I got to ask you a question, man. So you
what up?
How
but you're not frozen for me.
You like
Then you're frozen
30
for
or
me.
you like?
I know,
how
but
old
you're
are you?
frozen for us.
The bar is
What
on
happened?
you, Lactoid.
What happened? How grid?
Oh, how old are you, man? You're like 30, 35?
33.
33. Okay. All right. Okay.
What's up?
Am I still frozen?
I was just kind of curious because
Jesus.
I tell people all the time that depending on how old you are, one of the best careers you can get into right now is to be an airline pilot and just be an aerial bus driver. You walk out, you can actually get the training. It's about 70 grand in training, but you can get an airline to pre-hire you and pay for it. And you walk into a job making $90,000 a year. And there's a shortage of pilots right now.
That sounds sick.
I always and you cap out at about 250, 300 a year, but you make that for the entire. But you cap out in like 3 or 4 years. It's not like you cap out in 15 years. And
there's
I don't know how old you are, Grid.
Even if you're like
Grid, I don't know if we should be letting Ali pilot no planes. All right, I'm just saying.
Oh my god! Oh no!
Allah Akbar!
Oh no!
I'm coming for you, baby. Listen,
Crime
Grid's low key.
endorse
Grid's
these
low key
statements.
Sharia. You don't know.
I've heard people say that for years. They say like, "Oh yeah, go be a pilot." But I heard if you're like not former military, if you're not former Air Force, the gateway to get in is like
that's 30-year-old information, man. You can go. Like, Sun and Fun is in Lakeland in Florida, like in a month. You can go down there. There will be airlines pre-hiring people all weekend.
Someone zero experience, just like, hey, I want to be.
Well, yeah, you walk in and obviously you have to look like you can actually do it, right? Like you probably shouldn't roll up in a with a walker and a cane or anything. It's probably going to be a disqualifier. But if you there's some testing you have to do, but
I feel seen.
The school's only like 6 months. It's really easy. Flying's easy. I like flying a lot.
Lactoid, you were
if
saying.
it is, I'd be shocked.
Lactoid, quickly, because I know some people got.
I'll look into that, Grid, by the way. Good
So
luck.
we'll wrap this.
Hey
up,
man,
guys.
I hate to see unemployed.
Before we leave.
I'm not. I'm just always looking for work, man.
I do want to ask a question before we leave.
There we go.
Okay.
It's a little bit unrelated, but if you want to just ask.
Before then, right? Well, 2 things. One, Gibbs, if you have to go.
I do have to go. All right, thank you so much. Thanks for having me. Always fun to be here. Love coming on Mondays. Everybody, lots of fun stuff coming. Check out Prime. If you like the shit, donate, sub. We can't do it without y'all. Thanks again for having me.
Thanks so much.
Y'all, I'll be good. See you.
Have a good one, man. Be safe.
You, dude.
Don't buy Baron Coin. Don't buy.
And 2, Lactoid, you were going to make finish your point on the accreditation of the school. You said, to be honest, and then you're going to say something else.
It is bullshit.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I'm sorry for my technical issues. I think that after the last debate, the Ukrainians are hacking me.
Be honest.
I mean, they hacked Elon. Now they're hacking me. It sucks, dude. They've launched full scale cyber warfare. But in terms of what I was talking about, I wouldn't, unless you're talking like a law school that's like somewhat up there in rankings. I don't know if it'd really be worth it to even go, just because of the way the market's looking right now. Like, I normally don't even tell people like to go to law school if they're not getting LSATs above 155 these days, right? I mean, and that's kind of on the higher end comparatively, but you got to really be above that if it's really going to be worth your time and money, just because it's expensive and the jobs just aren't there in the same way they were before.
Yeah, hold on. But you were saying previously that like, hey, you should look out for these other schools that aren't accredited, right?
Yeah,
Because they're
yeah.
mostly scams. But wouldn't that go against your thoughts on like getting rid of accreditations in general? Like you should
No,
have
I would recommend people to not do it because they're spending a fuck ton of money to do a career that's not going to be worth it.
And
But
the
like,
current
what,
state of things.
yeah, in the
it is a
current state of
scam right
things.
now.
Yeah, what I'm saying is I want to create a system in which you could have somebody, let's say like a prisoner, right? Who sometimes prisoners know the law better than some lawyers.
They're
Because
very
they have
well
nothing to
read.
do all day. Yeah, they're just sitting in a prison library just reading law all day. And so if they get out and they're pretty smart, these prison lawyers can be pretty smart, and they can't be lawyers usually because they can't pass character and fitness. But if they wanted to give legal advice to people, as long as people knew their background, I don't see a problem with that.
No. I'm okay, and I'm okay with that, right? In fact, we've had the conversation before, and I agree with you. But in terms of accreditation of the schools, right? Like you would say that, well, we shouldn't even have accreditations, right? Like, or
You could have like a private institution like accredit them, and it could be like accreditation. Really, accreditation could just function like Yelp.
function like a what? Sorry, you're
Like
still
like Yelp.
like Yelp. Okay, gotcha. Oh, I see. So, actual customers going through, making ratings and
Like, there's an
the
example of this.
aggregate of that. Yeah, sure.
So like yoga, for example, there isn't like a national certification or like a state cert. There's no like testing for it, but there is a yoga board that like regulates like, okay, you have these certain amount of hours you're allowed to teach. But there isn't like a national certification or anything like that. It's just like a private board that like is handling the accrediting for the license.
Why don't we leave it here? Lagtoid is just having so much trouble. It's falling apart here.
Yup.
The thing is, none of you are lagging for me. Am I really coming across like pretty bad for you guys?
Yeah,
Like really
Yes,
bad. Your screen
that
is
was
frozen
actually
and you're like
painful.
robotic.
That's wild. Like I'm functioning perfectly from my end. You guys are functioning perfectly.
But it's an improvement. I'm just kidding.
What's your chat saying, Lactoid? What's your chat saying?
My OBS keeps disconnecting and they keep getting kicked
Yeah,
out. So it's
yeah. Why don't we wrap it up here then? Thanks all for coming through. I'll give you guys all an outro. But thanks for coming through. This has been really fun. Like I'm always have faith in this group to come up with a great conversation, and we've had like several great conversations just rolling here. Like it just never slows down, this group, and it's just because you guys are great at doing this. Every single one of you are really great at having these discussions and getting across your opinion and doing so in a fun manner. So shout out to all the participants here. But let's give an outro to Lagtoid while he can still make it, right? Send out a message, maybe through a bottle, right? Like a message about that might be faster.
Is my voice?
It's the cup on a string.
Can you hear my voice? Okay?
Yeah, you sound like a robot, but we
Yeah,
can
you're roboting.
You might as well just say it.
How about now? How about now?
A little bit better.
So far a little bit, but
just do it.
Yeah, just go ahead. We can.
All right, I'm closing shit out. Okay, all right. Can you guys hear me? Okay.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah,
More
Mr.
or less.
Roboto, I got you.
Sorry again. I'm being hacked by the Ukrainians. Call me Lactoid TV. I really appreciate all of you guys talking to me and for the extent I was able to. And I look forward to next time. It might not be next week. I'm actually going to be out for a family emergency. It kind of sucks, but I will be back at some point, and I look forward to seeing you guys then.
I'm sorry.
Sorry
Can
to
you
hear that,
say
man. Hope
Danger
all is
Will
well.
Robinson?
Yeah.
Likewise.
I don't know, like, how your family feels about debates, but I think they go well at funerals. So I think
that's a good idea.
But sorry, friend, honestly, that you're going through whatever this might be. And shout out to you. We'll hope to have you again soon.
I appreciate that. Thanks, Brian.
Yeah. Let's go to our friend Corey. Thank you for being here and for being our premier Canadian, right? Unlike this faker over here. Premier Canadian. Thanks for being here, friend.
Yeah, always grateful to be here. Never take it for granted. Even though I guess now we're political enemies since trying to annex us. But I don't take it personally. I know Americans are just jealous of Canada, as they should be. But yeah, as always, this is great. You can find me on Twitch, Corey Campbell 84, Twitter, X, YouTube, Instagram. It's Corey Campbell, and also on Substack, it's Corey Campbell. I'm working on my second piece. And the only thing I guess I'll say in terms of closing thoughts, I think it's interesting, in my opinion, sort of the lack of kind of long-term planning from people, let's say Grid One, okay, where they bring up, I think explicitly examples of Japan and Germany and like the automotive industry, and like they're in shambles or they cannot compete with China. And he thinks the United States can't compete with China, and we'll see how it plays out. But already, okay, China is already on the verge of outcompeting the United States. I think China, in terms of automotive industry and EVs, I think they're number 4, right behind Stellantis as like number 3, which is American, and like that's just a meteoric rise. And if you think that United States with its population can compete with a population that's 4 to 5 times bigger, well, we'll find out. But I think I might be wrong, but I think history will be on my side. But yeah, I'll leave it there for now. Thank you so much, Prime, Sociologic, Cal Rich, Grade 1 Motorsports. Bam, always a pleasure. Love you, Prime.
Shout out to you. And yeah, I've been following the automotive industry, and the China's rise in this field is like unbelievable.
But don't worry, bring back internal combustion engine manufacturing to the United States. Like that's 5D chess. That's out of this world chess.
It's unbelievable, and like I think our dominance there, that will be a thing of the past very, very, very quickly. But shout out to you, and let's go to our friend Bam who are happy to have you on the stream. We haven't had on the channel for a little bit, but we was glad to have you here. It was really fun talking with you. You did a fantastic job coming up with topics and just like keeping the conversation going. But you always do that, Bam. So I'm always very grateful to have you.
No, I appreciate it. Like I said, I haven't been in a while, so I was like, dang, let me go see what my people up to. Really fun conversation. I think the reason there's so much to talk to is because, unfortunately, not for a good reason, there's so much going on. Like, even in my head now, I was thinking like, oh crap, I wish I would have asked people how they felt about AOC and Republicans looking to cap interest rates on credit cards at 10%. Because I think that I could be swayed either way. I think there's massive pros and cons to both. But either way, maybe next time. There's always another great conversation.
There's always every week. So we'll be back and we'll have more talks. So you should stick around, audience members, and follow the channel. If you haven't done so yet, make sure to do that before you head out, because we're always having these conversations, and we love to have you here as well. Grid 1, you were fantastic. You were really great this week. Honestly, just want to hand it to you. We had a lot of great back and forths, and I really do appreciate you sharing your experiences in the business world. It's actually quite valuable. So thanks for all that.
Yeah, no problem. No, and I try really hard not to talk about it too much, but it's such an integral part. So it ends up coming out no matter what. Once again, it's a good week. Sorry I wasn't here last week. I got stuck in traffic, and you guys are going to be so far along by the time I got here. I was like, I'm not. Nah, who cares? I'm done.
No worries.
But yeah, it was a good time. Always happy to have good discussions and a little bit of back and forth. It's interesting how people can look at the same thing from so many different directions, and that's always very interesting to me. So yeah, there we go. That's about it. And you guys have a great rest of your week. Have a good time.
Read out. We got it. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I'm tired.
No problem. Aiko, thank you for coming through. Loved your insights, especially on Ukraine, right? I love anyone who tells Lactoid he's wrong about anything. It automatically makes my day. But thanks so much, Ben.
Yeah, sure, no problem. Enjoyed being here too. Another thing that came up that I didn't really get a chance to respond to was that conversation that touched upon Texas Energy that that came up sort of briefly. 1.2% of our grid power now comes from batteries. Just want to say, which is a very large. In case that doesn't sound big to you, that's actually very big. So yeah, Texas is
It's a
advancing
Texas-sized
super
power
fast.
grid. That's a lot of goddamn batteries, actually.
Yeah.
Mm.
I don't know. Is that scary?
Oh, thank.
I don't know what the right percentage of that is to know. Like to have. I don't have any. perspective.
I've been waiting for a long time. My personal thing to wait for is when it hits 2%, because when it's 2% batteries, then what that basically means is that wind and solar can dominate totally. Because the only thing that the downside to wind and solar is, of course, is always that it's not reliable, but it is reliable when combined with batteries. But people have been saying for years that batteries can't get that big; they can't grow.
Okay.
They'd be
Well,
growing tremendously fast here in Texas.
I'm patting myself on the back for asking that question about perspective because so a lot of times people sit in the room and they act like they have any context for what's going on. It's okay to acknowledge that I don't really know. What does that mean? I didn't
Yeah,
know.
sure. Yeah.
Rich, is the battery increase? Is that because of the outage that Texas suffered a few years ago?
Yes, in 2021, we absolutely started investing in batteries immediately after that. There are a bunch of other stuff that we should have done too, like we should be insulating our natural gas pipelines, and we haven't been doing
Sure.
that. There's a bunch of stuff we should be doing that we're not doing. But one
Yeah.
thing that we are doing that's great is battery, because essentially, one of the things that actually people don't realize sort of helped a lot when that thing happened was that the only form of power generation that overperformed during that winter storm was solar. And that seems counterintuitive to everybody because they were like, wait, didn't the snow just cover up all the panels? But no, that's not how it works. Basically, what happens, there's no moving parts in solar panels. So the fact that it froze doesn't affect its performance at all. So, but the problem with solar, of course, is that it's intermittent. But when you combine it with batteries, suddenly it's reliable over time. So that's why it's a big deal that we're investing in batteries here.
Thank you, Cronus1, for the 1,000 bits on Twitch. Much appreciated.
Great.
That's really kind of you. And then finally, Ali, thank you as always for bringing your energy and your perspective on these things. That's why I'm always inviting you back.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me. It's I go by Sociology. You can find me, Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, all the things. I come on here and you know what? I want to be wrong. That's the thing. It's like it gets called cope. I want to be wrong. Okay, I want to be wrong. But I just get proven right every single step of the way. And so it's just like I feel like an oracle, but it's depressing. It's a catch-22. It's like I see it coming. I want to stop it from happening, but no one will come to my side. But yeah, Prime, thanks for having me, guys. It's always a pleasure arguing with you. It's my favorite day of the week.
Absolutely. That's really kind. I'm always happy to hear you guys say things like that. Lets me know that creating an environment that you guys enjoy that is valuable. Okay, all right. So as usual, we will try to find someone. You know what? Let's raid my good friend Lila Water Kai. Right, not a beautiful woman, right? A handsome man. But he's just a really good guy, really great part of the community, and I love to support him. He just got started for stream, so let's go over there and hopefully and support him. So everyone, stick around for that raid. It will get started soon, as long because it just always takes my computer forever. But we're building up to a raid. Just wait calmly. Any second, we're going to have that raid, and then I can send you off. Now.
I gotta go, guys. You guys have a great night. Pardon me. Well, guys, that was rough. That was a rough one, ladies and gentlemen. I got to be honest with you. The amount of cope that I had to go through tonight with these fuckers. Wow. And to think he thought he won after all of that cope. He was literally just coping. Well, he has to be. No, it doesn't have to be that way. But it does. No, it doesn't. It really doesn't. The two things are not mutually exclusive, and it was like ridiculously bad faith cope session. Don't know what else I could tell you about it. Where are you guys going? I'm not done. Am I not still on here? Can you not see me? I'm not going anywhere. Not yet. I told them bye. I had to leave them. Not you guys. All right. Man, that was rough. I say it again. That was rough. But so much inaccurate, fake news, bullshit, all of it. Oh, they thought I was no, I'm not signing off. Heck no, man. I did have to shovel through a lot of shit, that's for sure. I absolutely did. Just stand by one sec. There you go. All right. Yeah, I had to I wanted him to admit that it was because of the massive storm that Texas had come through a few years ago, and I wanted him to admit that. Because even with 2% battery power, it's not going to be what he thinks it's going to be. Let him live in his delusion. The delusion tonight was epic, ladies and gentlemen. I couldn't believe how epic the delusion truly was. At the end of the day, man, it was rough. It was absolutely terrible. And I don't even know how to get that going. Maybe I think I'm gonna wander over to Mod Monday. Maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll go over there and beat up on some people that know how to fight. But not one step back though, boys. Not one step. I whooped them. The thing is that they wouldn't take their L's though. Why is it that people won't take their L's? Why is that? Yes, you're right, Smoking Spaceman. That's 100%. It's everything that they're talking about is all based on the homeowners that were, and especially that were out in the out on the freaking prairie that couldn't get power. It's actually Smoking Spaceman. Do you know that Colorado and I think Texas may be one, but there are several states that do not allow you to push. They allow you to push electricity back into the grid, but they'll never pay you out. It can cancel your bill, so you get free electricity from your electric company. You can do that, but you can't actually cancel your bill out. And so that's an interesting thing. And it was tough tonight, guys. The interesting thing is that Corey, he's always got these little snide things, right? Like, he was trying to say tonight that he was trying to say tonight that that America won't be able to compete with China. We already do. If and China doesn't really give a shit. The interesting thing is how they assign all of these weird motives to China. I don't get it. I wish I did. Anyway, guys, I'm going to beat up on some people over on Mod Monday if I can. I got to find the link. So go beat up on some people over on Sarah's channel. And so got to switch my account here. Give me 1 second. Where is that? But we'll go beat up on some people over there, see what's up, see what the haps are. So are you guys? So what did you guys think? I really want to understand. Where did you guys think I did? Pretty well in that debate. We'll have to have a discussion about it later, I reckon. But I'm really interested to see if where we're at on this. Is the link? Is it somewhere else? Let me see what we got here. You can't share links. It's all right. You can throw it to me on Discord, bro. Well, so China actually apparently has some like really killer car technology, automotive technology. So all right. Cool. Well, I've got that link. I need the link to the panel so I can get up there. There we go. Got it. I may have to kick somebody off. All right, guys, I'm going to raid you over there. I will see you over there. You guys have a great rest of your evening. I got to find where did I have that? There we go. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we already had the debate. Not your every. Hang on, I got to find my actual chat here. Already close it. Yeah, not your everyday Ashley. How are you? The debate was on the Reverie. It was a shitty debate, and I smoked them into the dirt. They barely made any points. Yes, Japan did have super stagflation, mostly because their prime minister basically wanted it that way. So, yeah, that's the way that happened. All right. Well, I'm going to end the stream. Send you guys over there. You guys have a great rest of your night. And remember, we'll see you Wednesday.